Chapter 103. Bad Start. On the way here, the cautious Zhao Quan had said that this was the most secretive place prepared by Brother Hong. Only a few of his confidants knew about it. When they evacuated to this place that day, they changed 4 cars and traveled for 3 hours. They almost went around the whole of Hangzhou before arriving here. For the past few days, everyone stayed here. They only came out today when he and his nephew came to pick Qin Shing up. They were afraid that their hideout would be discovered. Then, how did they know about this place? They had just returned not long ago. Who could predict Qin Shing's arrival so coincidentally? Who could coincidentally know when Qin Shing would arrive? Therefore, Qin Shing deduced that there must be spies among the 4 of them, including Zhao Quan. At this moment it was pitch black. Everyone scattered in all directions. No one knew where each other was. The few of them did not even dare to breathe loudly. They carefully listened to the movements outside. As expected, they heard messy footsteps and whispers. Indeed, there were people coming. They were definitely coming for Qin Shing. Bai Yong, Hong Tao, both of you go out and take a look? Zhao Quan instructed softly. This was somewhat selfish. After all, Bai Yong and Hong Tao were outsiders. Bai Yong and Hong Tao had come here on a knife's edge. They did not think too much. The 2 of them went out one after another. The moment they went out, Zhao Quan and the rest heard fighting sounds in the courtyard. It seemed to be a big commotion. The other party should have a lot of people. After careful consideration, Qin Shing felt that he could not sit here and wait for death. If the other party came prepared, staying here would only lead to death. Moreover, there were spies among them. Who knew who would stab them in the back? They could not King die the moment they arrived in Hangzhou, right? Brother Zhao, we can't stay here. The other party came prepared. We have to rush out, Qin Shing said tentatively. He wanted to see how Zhao Quan would deal with it. Zhao Quan squinted his eyes and thought for a while. He felt that Qin Shing was right. He then said, Mr. Qin, I will rush out first. You and Zhao Song will come out later. We will act according to the situation. If the other party has more people, we will split up and fight our way out. We will contact each other later. Zhao Song, protect Mr. Qin. If he is hurt, I will hold you responsible. Zhao Song, who was in the dark, did not speak. He continued to remain silent. A few seconds later, Zhao Quan pulled out a self-made lengthened dagger from his waist, and walked out carefully. Qin Shing did not wait at all and followed closely behind him. Zhao Song followed Qin Shing without hesitation. At that moment, the situation outside had descended into chaos. As expected, the other party had come prepared. There were at least 10 experts among them. Zhao Quan and the other 2 had already started fighting the other party. Seeing more people coming out, the other party did not hesitate to rush over. That's him, catch him, someone suddenly shouted. This sentence further confirmed Qin Shing's previous thoughts. Zhao Song took the lead and stood in front of Qin Shing. He slashed at the man who was the first to approach him and cut open the man's chest. At this moment Zhao Quan shouted, Kill them! Split up and retreat. Qin Shing did not want to fight at all. It was too dangerous here. He bent over and dodged the man who was rushing at him. He hit the man's back with one arm, grabbed the man's shoulder, and pushed him toward the other 2 men who were rushing at him. Noticing that the wall of the courtyard was relatively low, Qin Shing exerted strength in his feet and instantly rushed over. He stepped on the windowsill and flipped over in an instant. The whole movement was done in one go, and he did not give the other party any chance at all. The prey has escaped, chase him, someone shouted in the courtyard. 2 men flipped over the wall and chased after him. A few others went out of the courtyard to chase after him. This reduced the pressure on Zhao Quan and the rest. Bai Yong and Hong Tao's situation was unclear, so they also tried to break out of the encirclement. Zhao Quan was stabbed 3 times and his injuries were rather serious. Who asked him to meet a powerful opponent? Zhao Song wanted to save Zhao Quan, but he was scolded by Zhao Quan, Don't worry about me. Hurry up and protect Mr. Qin. Zhao Song gritted his teeth and had no choice but to flip over the wall and rush out, leaving Zhao Quan in the courtyard. After Qin Shing flipped over the wall, he did not expect that there would be people guarding outside. However, he did not dare to delay any longer. He jumped up and kicked away the man nearest to him. Then, he followed the path in the tea garden and went down the mountain. It was the bustling street of Maijiao. Moreover, there were police stations and so on. It would be easier for him to escape when the time came. When Qin Sheng was young, he was a master of running races with his prey in Zhongnan Mountains. Zhongnan Mountains was such a place, but on this tea mountain, it was like walking on flat ground. In addition, his stamina was especially good, which was not something that ordinary people could compare with. He ran wildly all the way without stopping. In 20 minutes, Qin Sheng had killed his way to the bustling street of Maijiao. He was planning to take a taxi and escape from here. At this moment, someone chased after him. After Qin Sheng took a closer look, he realized that it was Zhao Song who had been chasing after him. Qin Sheng kept a distance from him and asked, "How are the others?" "I don't know. Uncle asked me to protect you," Zhao Song said while panting heavily. This was also the first time he spoke in front of Qin Sheng. He thought that his stamina was already strong enough, but he did not expect Mr. Qin to be even stronger. He did not stop along the way, and the two of them had long left the group of people far behind. Qin Sheng's face was livid and he did not say a word. He had just arrived in Hangzhou and he was already set up. How could he not be angry? Seeing that Qin Sheng did not speak, Zhao Song continued to ask, "Mr. Qin, what should we do now?" "Let's get out of here first." Qin Sheng came back to his senses and arranged, "Go to the city." Hence, Zhao Song immediately hailed a taxi and the two of them left Maijiao. Qin Sheng's backpack was still in the small courtyard and he could not care about it now. Relatively speaking, the city was safer. Hangzhou's public security was not bad. Those people would not have the guts to mess around, unless they were really not afraid of death. Where to stay tonight? In the end, Qin Sheng chose the Hyatt Hotel by the West Lake. There were two reasons. First, it was in the downtown area. Second, a 5-star hotel for foreigners was safer. After telling the taxi driver the address, Qin Sheng immediately turned to Zhao Song, who had a flat-top haircut and a similar figure to him, and said, "From now on, if you want to follow me, give me your phone and listen to my arrangements." "Mr. Qin, you don't believe me?" Zhao Song was still expressionless. Qin Sheng snorted, "Some things are too coincidental. I just arrived at Maijiao and they already knew. Your uncle said that only you guys know about that place. All right, since Mr. Qin said so, I'll give you my phone." Zhao Song did not waste time and took out his phone and handed it to Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng did not hesitate and opened the call and text records in front of him. Other than his uncle Zhao Quan, Bai Yong and Hong Tao, there were no other recent contacts. However, Qin Sheng still did not believe him. It was possible that they had deleted the contacts beforehand. A cautious person would definitely not give himself away. Half an hour later, they finally arrived at the Hyatt Hotel by the West Lake. Zhao Song did not bring anything with him. His jacket was still stained with blood. Luckily, it was too dark earlier and the taxi driver did not see it. Otherwise, he would probably have called the police. Qin Sheng asked Zhao Song to throw away his jacket and buy a new one tomorrow morning. Qin Sheng took his wallet and ID card and booked a standard room at the front desk. After they entered the room, they did not say anything and went straight to bed. Zhao Song's phone was switched off while Qin Sheng's was switched on. If Zhao Quan was fine, he would definitely contact him. After all, he trusted Zhao Quan more or less. Otherwise, Jiang Xianbang would not have asked him to contact Zhao Quan. That night, Qin Sheng did not sleep well. Other than receiving a call from Han Bing for a short while, his phone did not ring again. Zhao Song, who was beside him, fell asleep. Qin Shing did not know if he was really asleep or pretending to be asleep. Staying by the West Lake, if it was in the past, Qin Shing would definitely go to the West Lake in the morning. However, he was not in the mood this morning. After waking up around 7 a.m., he took a shower first. After a while, Zhao Song also woke up. "Mr. Qin, what do we do now?" Zhao Song asked, giving the initiative to Qin Shing. Qin Shing said casually, "Just call me Brother Qin, you don't have to be so polite. I'll report to Mr. Jiang first and see if he has other contacts in Hangzhou," Qin Shing said thoughtfully. He thought that Jiang Xianbang must have woken up by now. This little old man's schedule was quite regular. Qin Shing asked Zhao Song to wait in the room while he went out to the corridor to make a call. At the same time, he kept his voice very low. Jiang Xianbang had indeed woken up. He had just finished breakfast and was drinking tea while listening to Qing playing the Chinese zither. The song, "High Mountains and Flowing Water," was refreshing. The melody was beautiful and smooth, and the form was elegant and unique. Qing who played the Chinese zither, was really extraordinary and made people look at her in a new light. "How is it? Did you contact Zhao Quan?" Jiang Xianbang asked lazily after receiving Qin Shing's call. Qin Shing said bluntly, "I just arrived in Hangzhou and I almost died. You really pushed me into the fire pit." "What happened?" Jiang Xianbang's expression changed slightly. Hence, Qin Shing told him everything that happened last night. After he was done, he asked, "Do you have anyone else you can use in Hangzhou?" "Yes, but I don't want to be involved in this matter with the company." "Don't worry, do what you want. If it really doesn't work, I'll think of another way," Jiang Xianbang said with a frown. He could give up on that thing in Hangzhou, but he had to know whether Hong Xing was dead or alive. Qin Shing nodded silently and said, "Okay, then wait for my news." "Be careful," Jiang Xianbang reminded him. Qin Shing returned to the room after the call. Zhao Song was taking a shower. At this time, Qin Shing took out Zhao Song's phone and turned it on. He found that there were messages from Bai Yong and Hong Tao. The content was almost the same. They were asking how Zhao Song was, where he was now, and whether he was with Zhao Quan and Qin Shing. Qin Shing was not in a hurry to reply them. Instead, he waited for Zhao Song to finish his shower and brought him out for breakfast. Then, he bought him a coat from the clothing store next door. In the garden bungalow on Middle Huaihai Road, Jiang Xianbang fell into deep thought after the call. He regretted letting Qin Shing handle this matter. If something really happened, he would not be able to answer to old Master Qin. After Qing finished the song, she stood up and walked behind Jiang Xianbang. She massaged his shoulders and said, "Uncle, what's wrong? Who called?" "That brat Qin Shing," Jiang Xianbang sighed. So it was Qin Shing. Qing snorted and said, "Oh." Chapter 104. There was indeed a problem. Begging for monthly votes. The saying, "the girl next door has just grown up," was perfect for Qing. More than 10 years had passed. Qing had grown from a little girl who wore ragged clothes and stared at Jiang Xianbang without blinking her eyes. She had grown into a goddess who was like a fairy who descended from the heavens. However, Jiang Xianbang was most worried about this girl's marriage. Up until now, she had never been in a relationship. This gave Jiang Xianbang a headache. He never forced Qing nor did he force her to go on blind dates. Sometimes, intentionally or unintentionally, he would bring Qing to attend some events and introduce her to some talented young men or descendants of aristocratic families. He would ask her what she thought, but none of them could win her heart. Seeing that the girl was getting older, Jiang Xianbang was helpless. Now, he intended to train Qin Shing as his successor. He felt that the best situation was for Qing and Qin Shing to get together. The two had known each other for a long time. After Jiang Xianbang came back to his senses, he asked, "Qing what do you think of Qin Shing?" Him? Thinking of the man she hated, who had molested or offended her several times, Qing said with disdain. Not good. Oh, Jiang Xianbang said with interest. I think he's not bad. Qing stopped what she was doing and asked in confusion. Uncle, what do you mean? I think if you think he's not bad, you can try to get along with each other. You're not young anymore, Jiang Xianbang said with a smile. Qing then understood what her uncle meant. She immediately said shyly, Uncle, you're messing around again. I'm not talking to you anymore, I'm going to school. Jiang Xianbang laughed out loud. Westlake Hyatt Hotel. Qin Xing and Zhao Song had breakfast in the hotel. They ran to the nearest shopping mall to buy some clothes for Zhao Song, and then went to get a car with him. This was also their stronghold, where they usually stored some supplies and so on. What shocked Qin Xing even more was that there were guns here. When Zhao Song handed a Browning to Qin Xing, he shook his head and said, Don't touch these. This is Hangzhou, we'd better be careful. Each of us take a dagger for self-defense. Zhao Song thought for a while and agreed to Qin Xing's suggestion. So, the two of them each picked a dagger that matched their hand. Finally, they drove away from the stronghold in the downtown area. Brother Qin, where are we going? Zhao Song was driving. His phone was still in Qin Xing's hand. Qin Xing had said earlier that only Bai Yong and Hong Tao had contacted him. There was no news from his uncle, Zhao Quan. Zhao Song's expression was very ugly. Qin Xing said calmly, Let's go back to Meijiawu. Return to Meijiawu? Zhao Song turned pale with fright. Wasn't that courting death? There was no guarantee that they would be waiting there for them. Zhao Song quickly said, Brother Qin, isn't this too risky? It's okay. Just follow my arrangement. Let's go. Qin Xing did not explain too much and just said casually. Zhao Song sighed. He had no other choice but to listen to Qin Xing's arrangements. Hence, he drove to Meijiawu. However, Zhao Song still had a lingering fear after last night's mess. On the way to Meijiawu, Qin Xing casually chatted with Zhao Song. You look young, probably in your early 20s. When did you start doing this with your uncle? I started before I graduated from junior high school. It should have been 6 years now. I couldn't keep up with my studies. My parents divorced and they were too lazy to care about me. That's why I started this path with my uncle, Zhao Song said thoughtfully. His ancestors were in this line of work, but his father was not interested in it. His uncle had inherited his grandfather's skills. After Zhao Song and Qin Xing got to know each other, he became a chatterbox, unlike yesterday when he was silent. Do you plan to keep doing this? Qin Xing smiled. Zhao Song shook his head and said, No, this line of work is too dangerous. Those who started this line of work with us have basically all died over the years. I'm under my uncle's protection. He doesn't let me show my face for most of the things. That's why I'm still alive today. Uncle said that he'll retire after another 3 years. By then, I'll go back to my hometown in Hubei, start a small business, marry a wife, and live the rest of my life. That's not bad. I see that you're quite skilled. How did you train? Qin Xing continued to ask. Zhao Song was right. Who wouldn't want to be safe and sound? It was just that sometimes life forced them to take risks. Zhao Song explained, In our small town, there are many old men who know a thing or two. My grandfather is a martial artist. I trained with him since I was young. Later on, I learned from the uncles in the town. After that, when I left with my uncle also taught me. Coupled with my life and death experience over the years, I can be considered to be able to stay alive. Although Qin Xing did not want to hurt Zhao Song's confidence, Zhao Quan had not contacted them since last night. It was very likely that he was already dead. After all, among the 4 of them, Qin Xing trusted Zhao Quan more. Brother Qin, what about you? How did you get into this line of work? Zhao Song asked curiously. Qin Xing sighed and said, I didn't get into this line of work. It's just that Mr. Jiang asked me to come over to handle this matter. That's why I'm here, although I'm very reluctant. Zhao Song asked subconsciously, Brother Qin, didn't that Mr. Jiang tell you what that thing is? Qin Xing turned around and stared at Zhao Song with squinted eyes. Zhao Song immediately realized that something was wrong and quickly explained, I don't mean anything else. I'm just asking casually. I don't care about that thing. I only care about where Brother Hong is, Qin Xing said honestly. However, Qin Xing also knew that others might not believe him. Zhao Song was afraid that Qin Xing would think too much, so he changed the topic. Brother Qin, are you married? I'm a single dog. Qin Xing shook his head and smiled bitterly. Zhao Song sighed and said, After this matter is over, I have to find a good relationship. All these years, I followed my uncle to those bathing centers and nightclubs. I even gave my first time to a prostitute. Just thinking about it makes me feel a little regretful. Young man, fall in love. Love is what life is supposed to be like. Hearing Zhao Song's words, Qin Xing laughed out loud. It was really true that young people did not know what love was like. When they arrived at Maijiawu, Qin Xing asked Zhao Song to stop the car by the roadside. The two of them directly climbed over the tea garden. At this time of day, there were many tea farmers in the tea garden, so no one took them seriously. As they gradually approached the courtyard, Qin Xing and Zhao Song began to be cautious. After confirming that there was nothing strange around, they walked into the courtyard again. There was still the smell of blood in the courtyard. The blood on the ground had obviously been washed. There was no one inside, but it was a mess. Everything had been turned over. On the table in the lobby, there was still last night's dinner and beer. Qin Xing's bag was thrown not far away. It was also opened. His clothes and books were thrown aside. After looking around, Zhao Song did not find any trace of his uncle. He began to worry. He gritted his teeth and said, Brother Qin, I'm afraid that uncle has. If he's alive, I want to see him. If he's dead, I want to see his corpse. If you don't see his corpse, don't worry, Qin Xing said with a gloomy face. He then instructed, Now, give Bai Yong and Hong Tao a call. First, confirm if they are together. If not, ask them to come to Maijiawu separately. If they are together, find a way to separate them. Zhao Song's suspicions had been reduced. In that case, the most likely traitors were Bai Yong and Hong Tao. Qin Xing first had to find clues and then dig out the mastermind. Hence, Zhao Song dialed Bai Yong's number. On the other side, Bai Yong, who was nowhere to be found, said anxiously, Zhao Song, you finally contacted me. King thought that you and your uncle were dead. Where are you now? Are you alone or with someone else? Zhao Song asked according to Qin Xing's words. On the other side, Bai Yong said thoughtfully, Currently, I'm alone. Then come to Maijiawu now. Mr. Qin wants to see you, Zhao Song continued. Qin Xing smiled and nodded beside him. Bai Yong was very surprised. Mr. Qin is with you? Is he okay? You guys actually ran back again. Are you tired of living? Don't worry about this. Mr. Qin knows what he's doing. Hurry over now. Be careful not to let anyone discover your whereabouts, Zhao Song said and hung up. After about 10 minutes, Qin Xing asked Zhao Song to call Hong Tao immediately. What they said was basically the same. After the two calls, Zhao Song continued to ask, Brother Qin, what should we do next? Qin Xing calmly arranged, Let's go down the mountain and see which of these two is the problem. Qin Xing was very clear that if there was really a traitor, then this group of people's target would be him. This was because they wanted that thing. Even though Hong Tao was missing and they still could not find it, it meant that Hong Tao had not betrayed Jiang Xianbang. Zhao Quan and the rest did not know either. Hence, they pinned their hopes on an outsider like Qin Xing, thinking that he might know something. There was only one way to get from the foot of Maijiawu Mountain to the courtyard on the Tea Mountain. Qin Xing and Zhao Song hid under a big tree not far away. They had a high vantage point and a wide field of vision. Coupled with the natural barrier of the tea tree, it was impossible for them to be discovered. About 20 minutes later, a Nissan Tetra appeared and went straight down the road to the courtyard. Qin Sheng and Zhao Song were guessing who it could be. A few minutes later, Hong Tao called and said anxiously, "Zhao Song, I'm already here. Why don't I see you and Mr. Qin?" "Wait for a while. We'll buy something downstairs and be back soon." "Be careful," Zhao Song said according to plan. Another 10 minutes later, a taxi appeared. This time, it should be Bai Yong. The taxi stopped a few hundred meters away from the courtyard. Bai Yong got off and walked towards the courtyard. "It shouldn't be," Qin Sheng muttered thoughtfully. What he expected did not happen. Just when Qin Sheng was feeling puzzled, two Toyota Prado suddenly appeared at the intersection. They were very fast and rushed towards the small courtyard. Qin Sheng was overjoyed. There's indeed a problem. He signaled Zhao Song to call Bai Yong and Hong Tao immediately and ask them to leave the courtyard. Their whereabouts had been exposed and someone was chasing them. Zhao Song quickly made the call. After hearing the news, Bai Yong and Hong Tao were also shocked. They did not care about anything else and immediately ran towards the back of the mountain. Chapter 105. It's so complicated at this moment. Between Bai Yong and Hong Tao, Bai Yong was more likely to be the traitor. After all, this group of people followed Bai Yong here. Finally, there was a flaw. This made Qin Sheng, who was at a loss of what to do, happy. The BYD F3 that Zhao Song found was parked not far from the foot of the mountain. Qin Sheng quickly ran to the car with Zhao Song and waited quietly for the group of people to return. Qin Sheng returned the phone to Zhao Song and gestured for him to turn it off again. This time, the two of them disappeared completely. Before he finished smoking a cigarette, the two Toyota Prado came down from the mountain. This time, it was Qin Sheng who drove. He followed behind them unhurriedly for fear of being discovered. Otherwise, all his efforts would be in vain again. They followed the two Toyota Prado all the way across the Zhejiang Bridge and finally stopped at a farmhouse near Xianghu in Shaoshan District. It was located on Xiangxi Road. Qin Sheng's anti-reconnaissance ability was very strong. They were not discovered from the beginning to the end. They parked the BYD in an open space not far away. There were a few cars parked there, so it was not conspicuous. Qin Sheng and Zhao Song sat in the car and stared at the small bungalow not far away. There were a few cars parked in front of the door. This group of people chose the suburbs. It seemed like they were trying to cover up. After all, what they were doing was not something that could be seen. The other party had a lot of people. Qin Sheng and Zhao Song did not act rashly. They had to figure out the identity and background of this group of people first. Therefore, Qin Sheng and Zhao Song stared here for the whole morning. It was indeed a bit boring. It was already lunchtime. Zhao Song got out of the car to find a place to buy something to eat. Qin Sheng continued to stare at the small bungalow. The person he expected had appeared. It was the traitor among the four people. This traitor was Bai Yong. Bai Yong drove a Volvo. After getting out of the car, he looked around before entering. Obviously, he knew what he was doing. Once he was discovered, he would definitely be killed. The traitor had appeared. The mastermind had also appeared. The truth was getting closer and closer. However, Qin Sheng was most concerned about Brother Hong's life and death. This was the task given by Jiang Xianbang. Just as Qin Sheng was thinking about the next strategy, his goddess Lin Su called. Seeing the number displayed on the phone screen, Qin Sheng was stunned for a few seconds before picking up. Obviously, he was a little surprised. After all, this was the first time he picked up Lin Su's call after 2 years. Since their last meeting, they had been communicating via text. How outdated. How was the business trip in Hangzhou? Standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling window and looking at the scenery of the Bund opposite, Lin Su asked with a smile. She had just ordered takeout and was waiting for it to arrive. In the past, Lin Su often went to the restaurant in Pali Plaza. However, she was always hit on by people, which made her quite annoyed. In the end, she settled her lunch with takeout. She felt a little sad. It was not her fault that she was beautiful. Qin Shing crossed his legs. Of course, he did not dare to say, "Oh my God, I almost died." However, he still smiled and said, "When will the singing and dancing of the West Lake stop?" The warm wind intoxicated the tourists, making them treat Hangzhou as Bianzhou. Hangzhou is such a good place. Of course, I have to enjoy it. Are you on a business trip or a holiday? Lin Su laughed. Towards men who approached her with any motive, Lin Su hoped that they would have a sense of confidence, and not feel inferior or humble in front of her. Unfortunately, most men at the moment were the latter, including Yan Chaozong. They always had too many misgivings when facing her. Qin Shing stopped laughing and said, "I'm just joking. Of course, I'm going on a business trip. What's the matter? Are you not busy today?" "I'm not a strong woman," Lin Su said in a very unhappy tone. Qin Shing knew that he had guessed right. He quickly explained, "Grandma came to Shanghai. Didn't you accompany her to walk around? I talked with her for a while last night. Today, she is going to meet an old friend. With Aunt accompanying her, she naturally doesn't need me," Lin Su said with a slight frown. She more or less felt guilty about what happened last night. After all, she stood her up at the last minute. Qin Shing said thoughtfully, "Sometimes you can put your work aside and spend more time with the elderly. After all, they are old. To put it bluntly, each day they live is one day less. The happiest thing is to accompany their children and grandchildren. The most regretful thing in my life is that I didn't spend time with my grandfather. Now I want to, but I don't have the chance." Lin Su already knew about what happened to Qin Shing that night. She more or less felt sorry for him. "Yes, I know," Lin Su sighed and said. Qin Shing asked casually, "Have you eaten? No matter how busy you are, you have to take care of yourself." "I'm waiting for takeout," Lin Su said softly. Qin Shing was about to ask why she didn't eat something good. At this time, there was a situation in the small bungalow not far away. A group of people came out of the small bungalow, surrounded by a man and a woman. Qin Shing's expression changed instantly. He was a little shocked because he knew the man and the woman. He did not expect to meet them here. What was going on? How did they get involved in this? "I can't talk to you now. I have something to do now. Talk to you later." At this time, Qin Shing had no time to care about Lin Su. He said absent-mindedly. Before Lin Su could reply, he had already hung up the phone. Lin Su, who was on the other side, was stunned for a moment before she came to her senses. She bit her lower lip and was a little angry. Since when did a man dare to hang up her phone? This Qin Shing was really bold. Qin Shing did not dare to act rashly. He saw the two old acquaintances leave in a Toyota Prado. The traitor Bai Yong did not leave. He stood at the door and smoked. After a while, he went in. A few minutes later, Zhao Song came back with lunch. There were 2 servings of fried rice and water. After getting in the car, he asked, "Brother Qin, what's the situation?" Qin Shing did not say that he met an acquaintance. He only said, "There is indeed a traitor among you. He has appeared." "Who is it?" Zhao Song was shocked. He did not expect there to be a traitor. No wonder they were targeted everywhere. This damn dog. If he caught him, he would definitely kill him. Qin Shing smiled and said, "You'll know in a while." After they finished eating, Bai Yong came out again. This time, he directly drove away. When he saw Bai Yong, Zhao Song was shocked. "It's actually him." "Nothing surprising," Qin Shing said indifferently. Although Zhao Song had guessed that it might be one of Bai Yong and Hong Tao, he was still a little surprised when he saw Bai Yong. After all, they had known each other for such a long time. However, when he thought of what happened during this period, Zhao Song was a little angry. Qin Shing did not think too much. He caught up with Bai Yong without hesitation and kept following him. Bai Yong drove from Xianghu all the way to the Nanshan Road China Academy of Fine Arts. He parked his car by the roadside and wanted to go to the West Lake. Qin Xing and Zhao Song also left their car there. The two of them split up to gamble on Bai Yong. A few minutes later, Bai Yong saw Zhao Song, who was standing in front of him on the tree-lined path near the lake, staring at him with an unfriendly expression. The moment he saw Zhao Song, Bai Yong realized that he had been exposed. He ran back without hesitation. However, just as he turned around, he found Qin Xing standing behind him. Bai Yong did not want to be caught without a fight. He decisively rushed into the forest. Qin Xing and Zhao Song chased after him. Qin Xing's speed was faster than Bai Yong. Within 2 steps, he jumped high and kicked Bai Yong's back. Bai Yong fell flat on his face. After he got up, he still wanted to run. Zhao Song was already in front of him and kicked him in the face. When Zhao Song was about to bend down to pull Bai Yong up, Bai Yong suddenly pulled out a dagger from his waist and stabbed it at Zhao Song. Fortunately, Zhao Song was prepared and quickly took 2 steps back. Qin Xing, who got up, saw this and went up to Bai Yong. He grabbed Bai Yong's arm and smashed his right elbow on Bai Yong's head. Then, he threw Bai Yong a few meters away. This time, Bai Yong could not get up anymore. This place was more secluded, so there were not many tourists. Otherwise, some busybody might call the police. Qin Xing and Zhao Song slowly walked in front of Bai Yong. Qin Xing sneered, "Run, why aren't you running? Damn it, I didn't expect you to be a traitor. F***CKU, a traitor." Zhao Song grabbed Bai Yong and scolded him. Bai Yong spat out a mouthful of blood and said, "Don't hit me, don't hit me. Let's talk, let's talk. Brother Yong, Mr. Jiang treated you well, right? Why did you betray him? Aren't you afraid that if Mr. Jiang finds out, you will die a horrible death?" Qin Xing asked with a smile. Bai Yong said with a sad face, "Mr. Qin, I had no choice. Although this place was secluded, there were still passers-by. Qin Xing and Zhao Song had to bring Bai Yong to the car first. After getting in the car, Qin Xing asked, "Brother Qin, where to?" "The most dangerous place is naturally the safest place. It's still Mei Jiawu," Qin Xing said casually. He did not believe that there would be people guarding there. After all, Mei Jiawu had no value. After Zhao Song drove on, Qin Xing played with the dagger in his hand and asked, "Brother Yong, I think you can tell me now. Where is Brother Hong?" "Believe it or not, I really don't know where brother-in-law is," Bai Yong shook his head directly. Qin Xing snorted and said, "At this time, you are still so stubborn. You really won't shed a tear until you see the coffin. Last night, I suspected that there was a traitor, so I set up a trap to expose you. In the end, I followed you to Xianghu, but I didn't expect you to be the spy. The power behind you is not simple. If Brother Hong was not captured by them, who else could it be? Mr. Qin, although I am a greedy person, I will not betray my brother-in-law. That group of people also don't know about my brother-in-law. They are also looking for my brother-in-law," Bai Yong explained while enduring the pain. Qin Xing snorted and said, "Do you think I am so easy to fool? What happened last night, what happened today, how do you explain it? What happened last night was really not done by them. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been injured. Originally, I wanted to inform them in the dead of night, but I didn't expect that I would be intercepted. As for today, I was the one who leaked the news. Because they want that thing, they can't find my brother-in-law now. The few of us also don't know. I thought Mr. Qin knew," Bai Yong continued. After listening to Bai Yong's words, Qin Xing's face became more and more serious. Bai Yong did not look like he was lying. If what he said was true, then apart from the group of people behind Bai Yong, there was another group of people. Chapter 106. Talk along the way. Qin Xing did not ask any more questions. He felt that something was wrong. Bai Yong was no longer of any value. He asked Zhao Song to call Hong Tao and come to my Jiawu as soon as possible. At this time, Hong Tao was no longer a suspect. After arriving at my Jiawu, Zhao Song tied Bai Yong to the pillar in the lobby. Qin Xing began to deduce the whole thing. He thought that by capturing Bai Yong, he would know where Brother Hong was and this matter would be settled. Now it seemed that it was not that simple. Qin Xing was deep in thought. Zhao Song did not dare to disturb him. He waited outside the door quietly for Hong Tao to come back. Half an hour later, Hong Tao came late. He could not wait to run into the lobby. Seeing Bai Yong tied to the pillar, he asked confusedly, "Mr. Qin, what is the meaning of this?" "Ask him yourself," Qin Xing snorted. Bai Yong cried and admitted his mistake. "Brother Tao, I was wrong. It's all my fault. I betrayed everyone." Bai Yong and Hong Tao were both Brother Hong's relatives, so they had known each other for a long time and were quite familiar with each other. It had never occurred to him that Bai Yong would be a traitor. He was so angry that he almost exploded. He grabbed Bai Yong's collar and said, "F***CK, you're a F***king traitor. Did you betray my brother? Tell me, where is my brother?" Qin Xing motioned for Zhao Song to pull Hong Tao away and explained, "He doesn't know where Brother Hong is. They are not a group of people." Zhao Song then explained everything. Hong Tao finally understood, but he was even more shocked. Turned out that there was more than one group of people watching them. Who was the one who leaked the news last night? "Let me ask you something." Qin Xing realized that he might have made a mistake and asked. Zhao Song and the others stared at Qin Xing. Qin Xing said slowly, "I arrived in Hangzhou last night. Did Brother Zhao tell you what time I arrived?" This question was naturally directed at Bai Yong and Hong Tao. Bai Yong and Hong Tao looked at each other and shook their heads. "Brother Zhao did not say. He just called us later and said that Mr. Qin would be coming tonight and asked us to prepare some food and drink." Qin Xing squinted and nodded meaningfully. He then asked, "After I escaped last night, what happened inside? What happened to Brother Zhao?" So far, out of the 4 of them, 3 were at the scene. Only Zhao Quan was not there. Qin Xing did not know whether he was dead or alive, so he asked this question. "After you left, Zhao Song also chased after you. Only the 3 of us were left in the yard. It seems that Brother Zhao was seriously injured. When we escaped, he was already lying on the ground." Hong Tao sighed and said, "He might have met with misfortune." The more Qin Xing thought about it, the more confused he became. The logic was not right. If Brother Zhao was another traitor, how could he have died? Even if Brother Zhao didn't die, as long as they worked together last night, he would definitely be captured. Also, if Brother Zhao betrayed Jiang Xianbang, then his nephew Zhao Song might as well. But from last night until now, Zhao Song's phone had been under his control. There was no news at all. It seemed that it was impossible for him to solve this problem on his own. Qin Xing thought of the 2 old acquaintances. As long as there were common interests, even enemies could become friends. Moreover, there were some old acquaintances, although they were somewhat unhappy. "Bai Yong, do you have the contact information of the Zhang siblings?" Qin Xing asked with interest. Bai Yong's face changed instantly. "Mr. Qin, how do you know about them?" Qin Xing was too lazy to explain too much. He just ordered, "Don't worry so much. Call them and tell them that an old acquaintance wants to see them. Not only can they get that thing, but also the ancient jade that the Zhang and Song families have been fighting for." Zhao Song took out Bai Yong's phone. After untying him, he motioned for him to make the call quickly. Although Bai Yong was very puzzled, he still dialed the behind-the-scenes boss's number. Within a few seconds, the phone was connected. Bai Yong said respectfully, "Mr. Zhang, this is Bai Yong. I have something to report to you." Beside Westlake, in Ziweiguan, the Zhang siblings were accompanying a family friend for a meal. This friend had a lot of connections in Hangzhou and was asking him to inquire about the recent event. Zhang Zibong, who was wearing a black leather jacket and had a trendy hairstyle, got up and walked outside with his phone. He squinted and said, "If you have something to say it quickly. I'm still busy." "Mr. Zhang, an old friend of yours wants to see you. He said that as long as you cooperate, not only can you get the thing you want, but you can also get the ancient jade that the Zhang and Song families have been fighting for." Bai Yong did not waste time and reported according to Qin Sheng's words. Sure enough, as soon as he said this, Zhang Zibong's face changed instantly. He frowned and said, "What's his name? Where is he now?" "He said that you will know when you come. He is next to me now. Do you want to see him?" Bai Yong continued. Zhang Zibong pondered for a few seconds and gritted his teeth. "Where are you now? I'll come over right away." "I'm at my Jiawu where you came today," Bai Yong said truthfully. After this sentence, Zhao Song grabbed the phone and hung up without saying another word. Zhang Zibong, who was by West Lake, was about to ask a few more questions, but the phone was hung up directly. He really did not know who this old friend was. Not only could he help them get that thing, but he also knew about the ancient jade that the Zhang and Song families were fighting for. Whether it was true or not, even if he was fooled, Zhang Zibong had to go because the matter was more important. He quickly ran into the box and pulled his sister Zhang Ziyu to Maijiao. In the small courtyard of Maijiao's tea hill, Qin Sheng, who had been embarrassed for the whole day, finally had time to rest. This was the hometown of Longjing, the place where the superior Longjing was produced. If he did not drink some Longjing, it would be a waste to stay here for so long. "Zhao Song, do you have tea?" "Make a pot of tea," Qin Sheng ordered Zhao Song. Zhao Song immediately went out and rummaged through the cabinet. There were indeed a lot of stored tea leaves, but he did not know what grade they were. Not long after, a pot of tea was ready. Qin Sheng picked up the teacup, tasted it carefully and said, "Good tea." Longjing had always been known for its tenderness. It was divided into lotus heart, sparrow tongue, and qiqiang according to the degree of tenderness and the time of harvest. The tenderness and uniformity of fresh leaves formed the basis of the quality of Longjing tea. Around the Qingming festival, the raw materials for special and high-grade tea were harvested. Around the Gyu to Lixia, the small 3 grades were harvested. That was, 1 bud and 2 leaves or 1 or 2 young leaves were the raw materials for high-grade and medium-grade tea. Summer and autumn tea was harvested with 1 bud and 2 leaves. In the early stage, the small 3 grades were harvested, and in the later stage, 1 bud and 3 leaves were harvested. Therefore, the best Longjing tea was naturally harvested during the Qingming festival. This pot of tea was brewed 3 times. Qin Sheng chatted with Lin Xian on WeChat. This girl was quite resentful towards Qin Sheng. She said that it was almost New Year's Day and she wanted to go home. She asked Qin Sheng if he had time to accompany her back. The second day of New Year's Day was her mother's birthday. She wanted to accompany her mother to celebrate her birthday. Qin Sheng thought for a moment. He remembered that in the past, no matter who celebrated their birthday every year, they could have a big meal. Especially on his birthday, Uncle Lin and his wife would either bring him back to Zhongnan Mountains to spend the day with the old master, or if the old master was unwilling to come out or had something to do, Uncle Lin and his wife would bring him to play in the city. Family was something Qin Sheng had always been envious of. Fortunately, he had the Lin family, which made up for the regret in his life. Otherwise, his character might be very strange. Therefore, Qin Sheng had always felt that he owed the Lin family a lot. Especially after his grandfather passed away, he had placed the Lin family in the most important position. When Uncle Lin got into trouble, he was not there and did not help. Therefore, Qin Sheng wanted to work hard and make a name for himself as soon as possible. He could also think of a way to clear Uncle Lin's name. Therefore, he did not hesitate to agree to accompany Lin Xian back to Xi'an on New Year's Day. At this time, there was finally some movement outside. Hong Tao hurriedly ran in and shouted, "Mr. Qin, they're here." Qin Sheng slowly stood up and went out to greet them. At this time, the Zhang siblings also walked into the small courtyard with their subordinate. The moment they saw Qin Sheng, they finally understood who this old acquaintance was. It turned out that it was Qin Sheng who had lost their family's ancient jade. Qin Sheng stood in front of the steps and said with a smile, "Brother Zhang Ziyu, how have you been?" Zhang Ziyu, who had come back to her senses, stared at Qin Sheng as if she had seen the person who had killed her father. Zhang Ziyu was dressed in punk-style clothes and had rivets all over her body. She had pigtails, dyed her hair purple and red, and put on big eyeshadow. She really had a unique style. Qin Sheng wanted to say something, but Zhang Ziyu suddenly burst out and rushed to Qin Sheng without warning. Qin Sheng shouted, "Damn it again?" The Zhang family's subordinates wanted to follow him, but were stopped by Zhang Zibong. They just stood there and watched the scene. Anyway, Qin Sheng would not do anything to his sister. After all, Ziyu was no match for him. The violent lady, Zhang Ziyu, rushed in front of Qin Sheng and kicked him directly. The riveted shoes on her feet were so domineering that anyone who was hit would be badly injured. Qin Sheng had no choice but to dodge backward quickly. After Zhang Ziyu's kick landed on the ground, it directly smashed a bluestone slab. It could be seen that she had used a lot of strength. "Can't you talk properly? Don't hit me every time we meet," Qin Sheng said slightly angrily. Zhang Ziyu did not care at all and swept her foot horizontally. Qin Sheng bent down to dodge, stood up and grabbed Zhang Ziyu's long legs, which were definitely played by men for years, and said again, "Can't you talk properly? If you continue like this, I'll hit you. You rogue, I'm going to kill you today," Zhang Ziyu shouted. At this moment, Zhao Song, Bai Yong, and Hong Tao were dumbfounded. What was going on? Weren't they old friends? Why did they hit each other when they met? Zhang Ziyu was not willing to give up and even wanted to kill. No matter how patient Qin Sheng was, he got angry. When Zhang Ziyu did not manage to turn around in time, Qin Sheng directly grabbed her arm from behind and hugged her waist. This action was extremely ambiguous. Zhang Ziyu's proud breasts made people drool with desire. "You lecher, let go of me." Zhang Ziyu struggled to resist, but she was no match for Qin Sheng. She was so angry that she scolded. Qin Sheng did not bother to pay attention to her and shouted to Zhang Zibong, "Brother Zhang, can you control your sister?" Zhang Zibong had to say, "Ziyu, that's enough." Hearing this, Qin Sheng let go of Zhang Ziyu and pushed her to Zhang Zibong. Zhang Ziyu still wanted to hit him, but was stopped by Zhang Zibong. Chapter 107. Each has their own considerations. Zhang Zibong and Zhang Ziyu had completely different personalities. Zhang Zibong was calm and cautious, while Zhang Ziyu was unruly and hot-tempered. The relationship between Qin Sheng and the Zhang siblings could be traced back to 2 years ago. The Zhang family's sphere of influence was in Hubei and Hubei, and it could be regarded as a prestigious invisible family. However, they had a sworn enemy, the Song family, whose strength was not weaker than theirs. Especially in recent years, the Song family had been developing rapidly in the political circle and gradually began to suppress the Zhang family. The two families could be regarded as mortal enemies. The most important thing was the ancient jade in the Zhang family's hands. It was said that the ancestors had robbed it from the old master of the Song family. This ancient jade had a long history and had a history of thousands of years. That was how he got to know the Zhang siblings. For hundreds of years, the Song family had never forgotten about this and had always wanted to get back the ancient jade that belonged to them. However, they were not as powerful as the Zhang family and did not dare to offend the Zhang family. It was not until these years that they had a new idea. Since they could not rob it openly, they could steal it secretly. The Song family found several masters and set up a trap to enter the old house of the Zhang family on the birthday of the old master of the Zhang family. They really got the jade out. Unfortunately, only one person came out alive in the end. This man took the ancient jade and made great efforts to escape from the Zhang family. He met Qin Shing by chance. At that time, the man was seriously injured and was about to die. Before he died, he gave the jade to Qin Shing, which brought bad luck to Qin Shing. From then on, he was chased by the Zhang and Song families. During his escape, he fought with the Zhang and Song families many times. That was how he got to know the Zhang siblings. However, compared with the Zhang family, Qin Shing was closer to Miss Song and almost married into the Song family. Zhang Zibang did not expect that he could actually meet Qin Shing, his old enemy, just by tracking that thing. It was really a bargain. What was more unexpected was that Qin Shing was also involved in this matter. Qin Shing invited the Zhang siblings into the hall, and they sat opposite each other. Behind Qin Shing stood Zhao Song and Hong Tao, while behind Zhang Zibang stood a few subordinates and Zhang Ziyu. The violent girl, Zhang Ziyu, stared at Qin Shing fiercely, almost wanting to eat him up. She did not know how Qin Shing had offended her in the past. "I didn't expect to meet you here. Qin Shing, how have you been?" Zhang Zibang stared at Qin Shing with a smile while playing with the Vajra Bodhi bracelet in his hand. When he came in and saw Bai Yong tied to the pillar, he directly ignored him. Bai Yong was just a pawn of his and was of no importance. Qin Shing also said happily, "It didn't occur to me that I would meet the Zhang siblings here. It's really fate." "It's fate, but also an ill-fated one. Tell me, what do you want from me?" "You'd better give me a reason not to kill you," Zhang Zibang said with a playful look. They had lost Qin Shing long ago, but they did not expect to meet this guy again. Compared to that thing, the ancient heirloom jade was the most important. Zhao Song and Hong Tao, who were behind Qin Shing, heard this and their faces changed slightly. Just now they felt that Qin Shing was not a friend of these people. Now it seemed that they were more likely to be enemies. They really did not know what Qin Shing wanted to do. "Brother Zhang, you are still so arrogant. If you could kill me, you would have done it 2 years ago, and you would not have chased me for more than 2 years. I know that once I meet you, my identity will be exposed again. I guess you want the ancient heirloom jade more than that thing," Qin Shing said with interest. This was also the decision he made after careful consideration. Zhang Ziyu snorted and said, "We want both. That ancient jade originally belongs to the Zhang family and is useless to me. If I don't give it to you, from today on, I guess I will be chased by the Zhang family again. Maybe you will also tell the Song family. I don't want to live that kind of life anymore. Let's just end it." Qin Shing did not pay attention to Zhang Ziyu. This Zhang Ziyu was really lacking in femininity. Compared with the gentle and elegant Miss Song, it was really a world of difference. Zhang Zibang smiled faintly and said, "Get to the point. The point is, you want both of them. Okay, but let's make a deal, which is absolutely beneficial to you, and let me sell it at a clearance sale. What do you think?" Qin Shing picked up the teacup and said shrewdly. Zhang Zibang had long known that Qin Shing was not a good person, and he might have some ideas behind his back. He frowned and said, "Tell me about your deal first. If I think it's a good deal, I will consider it." "It's absolutely a good deal. Doesn't the Zhang family want that thing?" "To be honest, I really don't know where it is. The only one who knows where it is Hong Xing. We can cooperate to find Hong Xing, and you can get that thing. I only want Hong Xing. After that, I will tell you where the ancient jade of your Zhang family is. How about this deal? Is it a good deal?" Qin Shing said with a smile. For him, this was a losing deal, but the ancient jade had caused him a lot of trouble. The Zhang family would know his existence sooner or later. At that time, the Zhang family and the Song family would fight with him until one of them died. Now he wanted to live a peaceful life and did not want to be involved in this matter anymore. In fact, he wanted to completely get away from it. After a moment of silence, Zhang Zibang said with interest, "This deal seems to be a good deal. It can be said that we have a big advantage. But how can I believe you? Believe it or not, I only want Hong Xing. I don't want that thing, because I can't find Hong Xing with my ability at present. Finding Hong Xing is the task given to me by my boss. As for the second thing, there is no doubt. You already know where I am. If I don't tell you, with the means of your Zhang family, won't you kill me?" Qin Xing said slowly. Zhang Zibang suddenly burst into laughter and said, "Qin Xing, do you have the capital to bargain with me? When I saw you, that thing was no longer important. I want the thing of my Zhang family more. Do you think you can leave here today?" As soon as Zhang Zibang said this, several men rushed in from outside, including the men of the Zhang family present. They directly surrounded Qin Xing and others. Obviously, they did not intend to let them leave like this. Qin Xing's face changed slightly. Zhao Song and Hong Tao, who were behind him, were also nervous. They did not expect that the originally peaceful scene would suddenly become fierce. Qin Xing did not lose his calm. He shook his head and smiled bitterly. "Brother Zhang, you don't have to do this. Even if we really fight, you may not be able to stop me. Otherwise, I would have been caught by you many times in the past 2 years. There is only one chance. If I leave here alive, I can tell you for sure that the next time you see that ancient jade, it must be in the hands of the Song family. After all, I am the fiancé of the Miss of the Song family." Ha 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 ha. Zhang Zibang laughed again, but he was a little embarrassed. He said happily, Qin Xing, you're still the same old Qin Xing. You don't fall for it. It's okay, I'm just kidding. It's such a good deal, how can I not agree? What reason do I have to refuse? This is the brother Zhang I know. I hope we can cooperate happily. Qin Xing slowly got up and walked to Zhang Zibang. He took the initiative to shake hands with Zhang Zibang. Zhang Zibang shook hands with Qin Xing and said slowly, "But I warn you, if you play tricks on me this time, I will definitely make you suffer. Brother Zhang, don't worry. I have no reason to lie to you." Qin Xing laughed. The enemy had become an ally. Qin Xing had finally achieved his goal. At least he did not have to be as worried as he had been 2 days ago. Exchanging an ancient jade that he would never have, and that was completely useless to him in exchange for an ally, this was a good deal for everyone. After shaking hands with Zhang Zibang, Qin Xing looked at Zhang Ziyu, who was next to him, reached out his hand and said, "Ziyu, we are allies from now on. As a girl, don't touch me. You are not a lady." Unexpectedly, Zhang Ziyu did not take Qin Xing seriously at all and said directly, "Go away." This made Qin Xing quite embarrassed. Zhao Song and Hong Tao behind him also wanted to laugh, but did not dare to. "Then, I hope we can contact each other more. Once we find Brother Hong, I hope Brother Zhang will tell me as soon as possible," Qin Xing said with his eyes lit up. Zhang Zibang nodded silently and said, "Don't worry about this." The cooperation was reached and there was no big fight. The Zhang siblings left with their men. Qin Xing and Zhao Song were also ready to leave Maijiao. Obviously, it was not suitable to stay here anymore. After the Zhang siblings left, in the car, Zhang Ziyu said confusedly, "Brother, why do you want to cooperate with that hooligan? If you cooperate with him, it is like asking a tiger for its skin. We have suffered a lot from him in the past 2 years. Ziyu, some things are too simple. That thing or our ancient jade, which is more important?" Zhang Zibang asked thoughtfully. Zhang Ziyu replied directly, "Of course, the ancient jade is more important. It is our family treasure. In such a big family, my current position is very awkward. It will be difficult for me to make a name for myself. Therefore, I'm taking a gamble. If I can get the ancient jade, the old man will look at me in a different light. Do you understand what I mean?" Zhang Zibang said slowly. Qin Xing had his own considerations, but he had more considerations. This was the real purpose of his cooperation with Qin Shi. If this cooperation was successful, and he got the thing and the ancient jade, his position among the younger generation of the family would rise sharply and he would be ranked at the top. Zhang Ziyu understood instantly and nodded. Brother, I understand. In the small courtyard of my jiao, Zhao Song said doubtfully, Brother Qin, can the Zhang siblings be trusted? As long as I am in Hangzhou, they are trustworthy, and they are our absolute allies. There will be no deviation. You will not understand the importance of the ancient jade to them. Qin Shi said with interest. This ancient jade was no longer a matter of value. It was related to the hundreds of years of resentment between the Zhang and Song families. It was related to the reputation of the two families. This was the most important thing. Zhao Song and Hong Tao naturally would not understand. They just frowned and said, since they are trustworthy with this ally, we will find Brother Hong sooner or later. I just don't know if Brother Hong has met with an accident. Whether he is dead or alive, we have to find him first, Qin Shi said calmly. Let's go and find a new stronghold. We can't stay here any longer. Zhao Song looked back at Bai Yong, who was tied to the pillar, and asked, Brother Qin, what about him? Chapter 108. There's news, begging for monthly tickets, begging for collection, it's the end of the month, everyone please come. Qin Shi did not care about the relationship between the Zhang and Song families, and it had nothing to do with him. It was a freak accident that he got that piece of ancient jade. Who knew that he would get himself killed? The Zhang and Song families chased after Qin Shi endlessly for 2 years. When Qin Shi returned to Xi'an, the Song family still sent people to chase after him. In fact, that piece of ancient jade was completely meaningless to Qin Shi. Its biggest significance might be to sell it and make some money. But if he could live to make money, he might not be able to live to spend it. Qin Shi could totally hand it over, but he was young and impetuous. He had been almost killed several times, so naturally he had a bad temper. They wanted it, but he would not give it to them. But now it was different. Qin Shi returned to Shanghai and began to fight for his life goal. The Zhang and Song families would find him sooner or later, and then there would be chaos again. So he took advantage of this matter to get rid of the hot potato, and he could do them a favor. But Qin Shi still had a trick up his sleeve. Once the matter was over, he would tell the Zhang family and the Song family. After all, Miss Song was half his fiancée, and they still had a relationship, so he would not let the Zhang family take advantage of him. Now that the Zhang family's brother and sister were gone, Qin Shi had to deal with the traitor first. Hearing Qin Shi's words, Bai Yong was so scared that he almost wet his pants. He quickly begged for mercy. Mr. Qin, I was wrong, I was really wrong. Please, Mr. Qin, don't kill me, I have parents and children to take care of. Why didn't you say this when you betrayed us? Zhao Song snorted. He always looked down on this kind of man who had no loyalty and ambition. Hong Tao also looked down on him. Although they were relatives at this time, he would definitely not beg for mercy for Bai Yong. Qin Shi walked to Bai Yong and said with interest, Then give me a reason not to kill you. Mr. Qin, as long as you don't kill me, I will be your slave in the future. I will do whatever you want me to do, absolutely without any objection. Bai Yong quickly knelt in front of Qin Shi. It was really funny that a man in his 40s was so embarrassed. Qin Shi sighed. Alas, but you already have a criminal record, how can I believe you? Mr. Qin, I beg you, I really beg you, don't kill me, I really don't want to die. Bai Yong continued to beg. Zhao Song and Hong Tao pulled Bai Yong up and said to Qin Shi, Mr. Qin, don't talk nonsense with him. Actually, Qin Shi did not want to kill Bai Yong at all. He was just fooling around with him. If he really wanted to kill Bai Yong, he would definitely not be so long-winded. So he waved his hand and said, Forget it. Since you are so sincere, I will spare your life first. When I find Brother Hong, I will let him deal with you. Xing said, Mr. Qin. Thank Qin. Mr. Qin was a for him. Qin. After leaving my Jiawu, Qin Sheng and the rest were considered to have completely evacuated from this foothold. Under the suggestion of Zhao Song and the rest, they came to a foothold near the Sisi wetland, which was actually just an ordinary neighborhood. Qin Sheng handed Zhao Song, Hong Tao, and Bai Yong over to the Zhang siblings to help them find Brother Hong. The more time passed, the more unpredictable the situation became. Sisi wetland was next to them. Qin Sheng rarely relaxed, so he walked alone in the Sisi wetland. He planned to sit on a boat and travel in the Sisi wetland. At this time, Ms. Chong Sam Jiang Qinyan called and smiled. I heard that you were suspended by Shangshan Ruoshui for a week? Good news never goes out, bad news spreads fast. Sister, you even know. Qin Sheng sighed. After returning from Nanjing, Xue Qinyan had been busy. She had not seen Qin Sheng since that day in Shangshan Ruoshui. Originally, Qin Sheng was going to tutor Xue Hao on the weekend, but Xue Hao's grandmother was sick. His mother took him to the hospital on the weekend, so he did not go. It's just a small matter. Don't be sad. If you can't stay in Shangshan Ruoshui, you can come to me. Xue Qinyan comforted Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng said, Sister, you are the best. Suspended, then you must have time in the evening. I will go back to Shanghai in the afternoon and treat you to a big meal in the evening. Xue Qinyan said casually. Qin Sheng was a little embarrassed. Sister, I really want to eat a big meal, but I can only wait for a few days. I am in Hangzhou. Hangzhou? Where are you in Hangzhou? Xue Qinyan, who was drinking coffee with her friends by the West Lake, was surprised when she heard this. Qin Sheng naturally did not know that Xue Qinyan was in Hangzhou, so he replied, I have nothing to do now. I am wandering in the Sisi wetland. Wait for me. I will be right there. Xue Qinyan said directly and hung up the phone after saying this. Qin Sheng was very surprised and a little confused. What was going on? The next second, he understood what was going on. It turned out that Ms. Chong Sam was also in Hangzhou. So Qin Sheng wandered casually. About 40 minutes later, Xue Qinyan directly drove to the Sisi wetland and easily found Qin Sheng. Sister, you are really in Hangzhou. Qin Sheng did not know whether to laugh or cry. Xue Qinyan, who was wearing a gray woolen coat and long leather boots, smiled and said, Have you forgotten that I am originally from Hangzhou? I often travel between Hangzhou and Shanghai. There are more things here. Oh, I remember. No wonder. In this case, you are a free tour guide. Show me around Hangzhou. It is my first time here. My favorite cities are Chengdu and Hangzhou, Qin Sheng said with a cheeky smile. Xue Qinyan was very familiar with the Sisi wetland. The number of times she had been here could not be counted with two hands. So she rented a boat, boiled tea on the bed, and accompanied Qin Sheng to tour the Sisi wetland. Tell me, you were suspended by Shangshan Ruoshui. I thought you were in Shanghai. Why did you come to Hangzhou? You came to Hangzhou secretly and didn't even tell me. If I didn't call you, I really didn't know you were in Hangzhou. Xue Qingya put her bag aside, picked up the teacup and stared at Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng laughed and said, Nothing. I have never been here before. I just came here to relax. Hangzhou is such a good place. What's more, there is a big beauty like you. Don't flatter me. Do you think I don't know you? I won't believe you even if you beat me to death. Could it be that there is something difficult to say? If you need help, I still have some influence in Hangzhou. If you miss this opportunity, you won't be able to find me again, Xue Qinyan said. She had dug a small pit for Qin Sheng. It was not until then that Qin Sheng remembered what Jiang Xianbang had said before. The Xue family was indeed influential in Hangzhou. Maybe they could really help him. Moreover, he really had no clue at the moment. So he said honestly, sister, since you said so, then I won't stand on ceremony. I really have something. Can you help? Aren't you fine? Xue Qinyan said angrily after getting a definite answer. Qin Shing hurriedly replied, I am not afraid of troubling you, sister. Sister, don't take it to heart. Say it first. What is it? I can't guarantee that I can help you. Xue Qinyan did not dare to guarantee. She just wanted Qin Shing to say it first. Qin Shing thought about how to say it. After thinking for a while, he said, Help me find a person. His name is Hong Xing. He has an antique business in Hangzhou. He disappeared a few days ago. There is something in his hand which is coveted by many people. Hong Xing? Why does it sound so familiar? Xue Qinyan did not expect Qin Shing to ask her to help him find someone. But this person sounded a little familiar. It seemed that she had heard of him somewhere. Qin Shing suddenly remembered that Xue Qinyan was originally a VVIP member of Shangshan Ruoshui. She had a lot of contacts with Jiang Xianbang. She also dabbled in antiques and cultural relics. She might know that Hong Xing was Jiang Xianbang's man. Wouldn't this be equivalent to exposing Jiang Xianbang? However, fortunately, Xue Qinyan did not remember who Hong Xing was. She just calmly said, Then I will ask someone to inquire about it. I can't guarantee that I can find it. I will contact you again if there is any news. Thank you, sister. Qin Shing said happily. He really wanted to hug this outstanding beauty in front of him and kiss her. But he was afraid of the consequences. At worst, he would be kicked into the congratulatory gift. After walking in Sisi for an afternoon, Xue Qinyan took Qin Shing to a restaurant by West Lake in the evening. The restaurant was called Lakeview 1921. It mainly served authentic Hangzhou cuisine. It was a relatively high-end restaurant. At this time it was dusk. The West Lake was full of tourists. As far as the eye could see, the scenery was infinite. In addition, there was a great beauty sitting opposite him. Qin Shing was in a very good mood. After dinner, Xue Qinyan returned to Shanghai that night. As for Qin Shing's matter, Xue Qinyan said that she would tell Qin Shing immediately if there was any news. Qin Shing could only continue to wait. In this way, Qin Shing stayed in Hangzhou for another day. In the afternoon of the next day, there was news from Xue Qinyan and the brother and sister of the Zhang family at the same time. This made Qin Shing overjoyed. Finally, there was news. If there was no news, Qin Shing could only call Jiang Xianbang. Xue Qinyan knew who took Hong Xing away. The brother and sister of the Zhang family were more detailed than this. They knew where Hong Xing was. Chapter 109. What did he want? Xue Qinyan reminded Qin Shing on the phone that no matter what he did, he had to be careful. Obviously, Xue Qinyan already knew something. Since Qin Shing could go all the way from Shanghai to Hangzhou to look for a man with a special identity, the things behind this were naturally not simple. The person who took away the man Qin Shing was looking for was not an ordinary person. Unless it was absolutely necessary, she might come forward to help Qin Shing, but definitely not now. The power of the Zhang siblings was also amazing. After a lot of effort and money, they finally got the detailed information. It could be seen that the Zhang family was quite powerful. In the evening, before the night fell, in the farmhouse next to Xianghu Lake, the Zhang siblings and Qin Shing were ready to go to the place where Hong Xing was kidnapped. As for Hong Xing's life or death, it was still unknown. Are you sure that Brother Hong is at the Thousand Island Lake? Qin Shing was somewhat worried and asked again. Zhang Ziyu, who wore camouflage today, said unhappily, Why do you talk so much nonsense? With the power of our Zhang family, how can we lie to you? Go or not, it has nothing to do with us. Qin Shing smiled bitterly and said, I just asked. Look at you, can you be more polite? I can't be polite to a playboy like you. It's good enough that I didn't kill you, Zhang Ziyu said disapprovingly. In fact, the two were quarrelsome lovers, but no one knew how much hatred they had. Qin Shing muttered, "Girls always fight and kill. I don't know who will dare to marry you in the future. I guess you will be alone for the rest of your life." Zhang Ziyu still wanted to refute, but was stopped by Zhang Zibong. Zhang Zibong chuckled and said, "Don't worry. I said he is at the Thousand Island Lake, so he is. Today we will help you save him. Don't forget what you promised. If you want to fool me, today will also be the day you die." The brother and sister were really the same. Qin Shing laughed and said, "Don't worry, I don't want to die yet." "Then get ready to go." Zhang Zibong snorted. Qin Shing said, "This trip, unless it is absolutely necessary, you can't kill anyone. Don't leave any sequelae." "Don't worry, I will." Zhang Zibong nodded silently. The brother and sister of the Zhang family brought 4 trusted subordinates with extraordinary skills. Qin Shing brought Zhao Song, Hong Tao, and Bai Yong with him. There were a total of 10 of them. They drove 3 cars to the Thousand Island Lake. The Thousand Island Lake was located in Chun'an County, southwest of Hangzhou. It was 130 kilometers away from Hangzhou, a 2-hour drive. The Thousand Island Lake was known as the back garden of the Yangtze River Delta. There were only 4 of them in the Nissan. Zhao Song was driving, Bai Yong was in the passenger seat, and Qin Shing and Hong Tao were behind. Qin Shing closed his eyes and rested. When he got the news, he had already reported it to Jiang Xianbang and told him about the deal with the Zhang siblings. As for the relationship between him and the Zhang siblings, Qin Shing did not say anything. Jiang Xianbang was most concerned about Hong Xing's life and death at this time, so he did not have any objection to giving that thing to the Zhang family. In his eyes, this thing was already an ominous thing for him since it was involved in so many things. In the end, Jiang Xianbang once again exhorted Qin Shing to be careful. It was an island in the southeast of the Thousand Island Lakes, Chun'an County. It was surrounded by lakes on all sides and was far away from the main scenic area of the Thousand Island Lake. It could be said to be isolated from the world. On this island called Changfaling, an open space was opened up near the lake and a villa was built. Although it was not big, the supporting facilities were relatively complete. There were 3 small buildings, tennis courts, badminton courts, and so on. Hong Xing, who had been missing for many days, was locked in the basement of the main building. Apart from him, there were more than a dozen people, including the servants and so on. There were only 8 men who were mainly responsible for looking after Hong Xing. After all, no one knew that Hong Xing was here. It was not a problem for 8 people to deal with Hong Xing. The man in charge of this place was a fierce-looking man named Renjuan. He was 36 years old, not tall, with sparse hair and a little limp. They had been here for 4 or 5 days, but there was no result from the things that the boss had told them, which made him very annoyed. He thought it was a simple thing, but there was no progress until now. If the boss had not told him that Hong Xing must not die, he would have killed Hong Xing long ago. After a round of torture, Hong Xing still did not say any useful news, which made Renjuan so angry that he broke into a torrent of abuse. Finally, he had to leave angrily. He drank wine and ate the fish they caught from the Thousand Island Lake with a few subordinates in the living room. The fish was extremely fresh and the most tempting delicacy of the Thousand Island Lake. "Brother Ren, Hong Xing is so stubborn. If he doesn't say anything, what should we do? We can't always stay here, can we?" Renjuan's subordinate, the yellow-haired man, complained. They had been here for 5 days. If they continued to stay here, they did not know how long they would stay. His little lover had recently begun to be coquettish. If she did not see him again, she would break up with him. Renjuan said angrily, "Yellow-haired, do you think I want to stay here? This place is so desolate. It is not as leisurely as Hangzhou. But this is what the boss asked me to do. What can I do? If you want to complain, go to the boss. Don't grumble here." The yellow-haired man did not say anything. Old Wolf, the burly man next to him, interrupted and said, Brother Ren, does Hong Xing really have no weakness? Everyone has a weakness. He has no children, no wife, no lover, and even no relatives or friends. This kind of person is really difficult to deal with. I have thought of everything I can think of. Think again. What else can we do? This matter must be settled. Renjuan said angrily. It was the first time for him to see someone like Hong Xing. He had nothing and was so loyal to the boss. It was really strange. The 4 or 5 men around him were lost in thought. They were all thinking of ways. Hong Xing was tortured by them to the point that he almost looked like a human. He did not say anything. They really did not know how good the boss behind him was to Hong Xing, so that he worked so hard. Could it be that they were gay? At this time, a man came into the living room. He was dressed sloppily and his hair had not been washed for a long time. It seemed that his body was emitting a stench. When everyone saw him coming in, they were somewhat disdainful. Zhao Quan, you came at the right time. Hurry up and think of a way. How can Hong Xing speak? Renjuan saw the man coming in and hurriedly greeted him, although he looked down on this kind of person. That's right, this man was Zhao Quan, Zhao Song's uncle. No one expected him to show up here. Obviously, he was not dead. In that case, many things could be figured out. He was the real traitor that night, and those people were obviously in cahoots with him. It was no wonder that Zhao Quan did not leave and disappeared in the end. However, there were some things that they could not figure out. Then why did he let Qin Xing go? Zhao Quan squinted his eyes and walked to the middle of the crowd. He casually sat beside Renjuan, lit a cigarette and said, Hong Xing has not spoken yet? Renjuan shook his head helplessly and said, if he had spoken, we would not still be here. F***ck. Zhao Quan scolded, this matter can't be delayed any longer. There is another group of people looking for him. This group of people is not simple. Together with Mr. Jiang, I'm afraid that a long delay will cause trouble. Do you think I don't know? The boss just called me and scolded me. What can I do? This guy is F***king unmoved by force or persuasion, Renjuan scolded. Zhao Quan frowned and gritted his teeth. Let me try again. I don't believe it. After that, Zhao Quan stood up and went to the basement. Renjuan immediately followed him with his 2 subordinates. After all, he did not trust Zhao Quan very much. The basement of the villa was very large. There were fitness equipment everywhere. Obviously, it was used as a gym. Hong Xing, who was in his 40s, was tied to a pillar in the middle. He only wore a pair of big underpants. His body was badly mutilated. He must have suffered a lot these days. This time, he was a little dazed. Wake him up. Renjuan waved to the subordinate beside him and said. The subordinate carried a basin of cold water and directly splashed it on Hong Xing's face. Hong Xing woke up instantly. The blood on his face was washed away a lot. His whole body was badly mutilated. No one could recognize his original appearance. Zhao Quan stood in front of Hong Xing and said with a sigh, Brother Hong, why did you do this? After seeing the man in front of him clearly, Hong Xing smiled weakly. His eyes were full of disdain. He said vaguely, I'm just a dog. What can I know? You don't need to waste time. Just give me a quick death. Zhao Quan shook his head and smiled bitterly. Brother Hong, others don't know, but how can I not know? Mr. Zhang's things have always been handled by you. Even if you don't know, who knows? Ha 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 ha, look at you. You are too stupid. So you can't replace me. We are all dogs. As dogs, we have to be loyal to our masters. You are not a good dog. Hong Xing struggled and said. In the end, he even laughed mischievously. However, it hurt his wound and he grimaced in pain. Zhao Quan looked very unhappy. He said directly, Brother Hong, since you are so uncooperative, don't blame me. After that, Zhao Quan turned around, grabbed a handful of salt from the side, and directly sprinkled it on Hong Xing's body. In an instant, the salt went into Hong Xing's wound. Hong Xing's face was almost twitching. He groaned in pain and gritted his teeth to hold on. The men next to him could not bear it. What was he after? Chapter 110. Why was he here? Qin Xing still didn't understand how important Hong Xing was to Jiang Xianbang. If Hong Xing betrayed Jiang Xianbang would kill him without hesitation. Moreover, with Jiang Xianbang's ability, if he really wanted to find Hong Xing, he could use his connections to do it in a big way. But he just had to find him secretly. Qin Xing couldn't help thinking that maybe Hong Xing knew too many secrets of Jiang Xianbang, so Jiang Xianbang was so cautious and didn't dare to give up or be high-profile. Anyway, there must be a result. As for that thing, he had already forgotten about it. No wonder when Qin Xing told him that he had made a deal with the Zhang siblings, Jiang Xianbang didn't say anything at all. Now, Qin Xing finally found Hong Xing, but he didn't know whether he was dead or alive. It was all thanks to the Zhang siblings. The brother and sister of the Zhang family were really not simple. They had prepared 2 fishing boats in advance. At the same time, they had used a drone to patrol the whole island. After confirming the specific location, they would take action after dark. Everything was arranged properly. Qin Xing did not need to worry about anything at all. As long as Qin Xing was satisfied, he would not play any tricks. When the time came, he would obediently hand over the family ancient jade. After the 2 fishing boats arrived at the island, they were guarded by special personnel. They would evacuate safely after the mission was over. You've seen the photos there. There are 3 small buildings in total. We don't know where Brother Hong is yet. Later, your people and our people will act separately. You go to the left and I'll go to the right. Send someone to lurk in and determine the target's location before taking action. Although it was not their business, Zhang Zibang didn't dare to take it lightly. After all, he was tied to Qin Xing and could die if something went wrong. Qin Xing nodded silently. At this time, he would naturally listen to Zhang Zibang's instructions. Zhang Zibang continued, "Let's go there on foot first. Ziyu will use a drone to help us monitor from above. Everything will be done according to Ziyu's orders. Don't act arbitrarily." Qin Xing looked at Zhang Ziyu, who was not far away. At this moment, she was really concentrating on the control of the drone. When the hot girl was serious, she was quite ladylike. "Let's go," Zhang Zibang said in a deep voice after confirming the plan. Qin Xing took Zhao Song and the others to approach the villa from the left, while Zhang Zibang set off from the right with his confidant. Zhang Ziyu sat in the middle with an unmanned drone. There were 2 people left. When they arrived at their destination, they would drive the fishing boat to Changfa Ridge to meet them. Qin Xing led Zhao Song, Hong Tao, and Bai Yong up the mountain unhurriedly. The mountain was not high and it would only take them 10 minutes to climb over it. The landing point chosen by Zhang Zibang was also the closest place to the villa. At the same time, they avoided the forest in the north, where there were several buildings and there should be a lot of people living there. 10 minutes later, Qin Xing and the others finally arrived at the left side of the villa. Zhang Zibang also arrived at the designated place. Zhang Ziyu was not far from Qin Xing and was commanding the small unmanned drone on a high ground. From Qin Xing's side, he could clearly see that the building in the middle was brightly lit. The target should be in that building. The 2 buildings next to it were almost dark. "Ziyu, what's the situation now?" Zhang Zibang asked through the headset. Zhang Ziyu searched carefully twice and said, "There are only 2 people outside the whole villa, just outside the main building. There is no one in other directions. I suggest you get rid of the 2 first. It's better to ask them where the target is." Qin Xing also heard their conversation. Zhang Zibang said again, "Qin Xing, do it. I'll be the bait to lure one away. You deal with the other one." Qin Xing, Zhao Song, and the others quickly went in the direction of the main building. When they approached the main building, they stopped, for fear of alerting the enemy. There were a lot of people in the villa, mainly staff members. But when Hong Xing was brought here, most of these staff members were sent away, except for a few. The rest were Rinjuan's men. The lights outside the main building were on. 2 men stood outside and chatted. It was very cold outside in this season in Hangzhou. They were shivering in their down jackets. One of them scolded, "I don't know how long we can stay in this desolate place." "What's the use of saying this? It's too early to leave without finishing the task," the other replied. The man who spoke first scolded again, "The man inside is so stubborn. He doesn't say anything until now. In this society there are still such men. I'm really convinced." "I'm convinced too." At this time, Zhang Zibang made a noise. The two looked over at the same time and said, "What's that sound? I didn't hear it. Maybe it's pheasants or rabbit." The other man didn't care at all. He didn't expect that there would be other people in this place. They had been here for 4 or 5 days. Except for this group of people, they didn't even see a ghost. "Let's go and have a look. If there are rabbits or pheasants, we can make some barbecue tonight," the 2 men said at the same time. Then they went over there at the same time. "There is sh*t in this season." The man laughed and said. Qin Sheng was a little surprised. He didn't expect that the 2 men had gone there. He immediately said, "They all went there." "That's good. Let's clean up together. Pay attention to the direction of the door," Zhang Zibang ordered. When the 2 men walked to the side of the main building, Zhang Zibang, who was waiting here, rushed up with his trusted subordinates and took them down directly. They didn't give them any chance to resist. Qin Sheng and others guarded the door of the main building in case someone came out again. A few minutes later, Zhang Zibang also came over with his trusted subordinate. They already knew what they needed to know. The 2 men had been tied up and thrown not far away. "What did you find out?" Qin Sheng frowned and asked. Zhang Zibang said happily, "Everything we need to know. There are 4 servants and 2 cooks in the building on the left. There are 8 people in the main building, including your brother Hong. Your brother Hong is locked in the basement. It is said that he has been tortured a lot." "What should we do next?" Qin Sheng asked. Zhang Zibang took out the gun in his hand with a playful look and showed it to Qin Sheng. "With this, what are you afraid of? There are no weapons inside. Don't worry. Why did you bring this out?" Qin Sheng's face changed slightly. Zhang Zibang said happily, "Just in case." Qin Sheng was very speechless. This made him a little afraid of Zhang Zibang. He was afraid that this man would point the gun at him. "First send a few people to control the servants and cooks in the building on the left, in case of leakage. Be careful. Make sure that nothing goes wrong, then we will do it," Zhang Zibang sneered. So Qin Sheng sent Zhao Song and Bai Yong, and Zhang Zibang also sent 2 people. They came back after a while. The group of people were watching TV in the living room. They were all directly controlled and tied up. After everything was done, Zhang Zibang was relieved and said, "Now we can do it. You go in from the 2nd floor, and we rush in from the outside. Then we will cooperate with each other." Qin Sheng nodded. This building was not high, so it was not difficult to go to the 2nd floor. They quickly went to the 2nd floor from the balcony. After searching for a while, they found that the 2nd floor was empty. Qin Sheng and others followed them to the stairway. In the living room of the main building, there were only 2 people left. The others were in the basement, including Zhao Quan and Ren Zhuan. They tortured Hong Xing again, but there was still no result. If they continued, Hong Xing would probably die. Qin Sheng and Zhao Song found that there were only 2 people at the stairway. They motioned to surround them. Zhao Fa and Bai Yong were on the left side, and Qin Sheng and Hong Tao were on the right side. The 2 men were drinking and eating fish, and did not expect that someone would break in. Qin Sheng and Zhao Song rushed up at the same time. Hong Tao choked the man's neck from behind. Qin Sheng punched the man's abdomen, and then hit the man's face with his elbow. The man did not understand what was going on and was knocked out by Qin Shing. Zhao Song and Bai Yong had already started. At this time, Ren Zhuan, who failed to pry Hong Xing's mouth open, came up from the basement with a few men. They happened to see this scene. Ren Zhuan was shocked and said, "Who are you?" The faces of Qin Shing and others changed instantly. They did not expect such an accident. No matter how stupid Ren Zhuan was, he knew what was going on. He immediately ordered, "Go." A group of men rushed up, followed by Ren Zhuan. The two sides immediately fought, and the originally calm scene became chaotic for a while. Qin Shing sidestepped the man who rushed over and kicked him directly to the ground. Then he went up and his knee fell on the man's chest. At this time, Ren Zhuan faced Qin Shing. After hearing the movement inside, Zhang Zibong, who had been waiting for the opportunity outside, rushed in without hesitation, and several men immediately joined the fight. Seeing the chaotic scene in front of him, Zhang Zibong loaded the gun in his hand unhurriedly, and then shouted, "Stop!" Zhang Zibong's voice was strong and powerful. Everyone looked at him at the same time. When they saw the gun in his hand, no one dared to fight in an instant. Zhang Zibong said with a smile, "Fight? Why don't you fight?" Ren Zhuan, who was standing in front of Qin Shing, twitched his mouth and didn't know what to do for a while. He did not expect these people to have weapons. They were not prepared at all. It seemed that they were unlucky today. In addition to the man who was knocked out by Qin Shing, there were only 4 men on the other side, including Ren Zhuan, while there were 7 on Qin Shing's side, including Zhang Zibong, who was holding a gun in his hand. "Tie them all up," Qin Shing ordered the crowd. Ren Zhuan and others did not dare to act rashly, for fear that Zhang Zibong's gun would fire. Zhao Song and others acted immediately, and it did not take long for them to be tied together. After that, Hong Tao pointed to a place not far away and said, "Mr. Qin, the basement is there." Qin Shing looked calm. Finally, he was going to see Brother Hong. Tonight was smooth. At this time, the door of the basement opened. Zhao Quan, who heard the noise outside but did not know what was going on, walked out slowly and shouted with a chuckle, "What are you doing?" When he finished this sentence, Zhao Quan was stunned. Qin Shing and others were also stunned subconsciously and did not respond for a while. Chapter 111. Investigate. A new month has begun. Please collect your monthly tickets. The basement was behind the stairs. There was a secret door. After passing through a corridor, there was another secret door. Qin Shing did not know who built this villa. However, to be able to build a villa on the island of Qiandao Lake, he must be either rich or respectable. Thinking about it, how could he be an ordinary person who could oppose Jiang Xianbang? Therefore, Zhao Quan, who had been waiting for Hong Xing to speak in the basement, could not hear the specific sounds outside. He could only hear some noises, but he did not take it seriously. After all, Ren Zhuan and his gang were outside. He came out unguarded. At this moment, the two parties met and the scene instantly became awkward. Zhao Quan stood at the door, his face clouded and his eyes flashed with uneasiness. He did not expect Qin Shing and his gang to find this place. Now the truth was out. Qin Shing squinted his eyes and his face was full of anger. If Bai Yong was the traitor, then Zhao Quan was the real boss behind the scenes. He should be the mastermind behind everything, including Hong Xing's disappearance, and what happened that night in Maijiawu when they just arrived in Hangzhou. However, he still could not understand it. "Third uncle, why are you here?" Zhao Song asked in surprise after coming back to his senses. He had not thought about the things behind the scenes. Zhao Quan, who still did not care about his image and dressed like a refugee, did not say anything. What could he say at this moment? Everything had been in vain. "Brother Zhao, I didn't expect this. I really didn't expect this." Qin Shing sighed slightly. He had been guessing for the past 2 days, but it was just a guess. There were many illogical things in it. However, now, his guess had become the truth. Even if the logic was different, it could not change the truth. Zhao Quan gave up and smiled bitterly. Little Qin, there's nothing I can't figure out. I lost. F*CKU. You're the real traitor. F*CKU. Hong Tao had already understood. He scolded angrily. Without hesitation, he rushed over and kicked Zhao Quan's abdomen. Zhao Quan flew out directly and lay on the ground in a sorry state. No matter how stupid Zhao Song was, he would still come to his senses. However, Hong Tao was his uncle after all. He wanted to stop Hong Tao, but was held back by Bai Yong. Bai Yong snorted, "Zhao Song, you'd better calm down and think about the consequences." Zhao Song was in a dilemma. Under such circumstances, if he wanted to stand on third uncle's side, it would be no different from declaring war with Qin Sheng. It was impossible for him to rescue third uncle from so many people by himself. In the end, he could only sacrifice his own life. But after all, third uncle was his biological uncle. He could only beg for mercy. Brother Qin, third uncle already has his own difficulties. Qin Sheng waved his hand and stopped Zhao Song. He could understand Zhao Song's situation, but he had no time to think about these things. He said to Zhang Zibang, who was not far away, "You guys look after them, I'll go down and take a look." "Go ahead, leave it to me," Zhang Zibang said softly. Of course, he knew Zhao Quan. When he saw Zhao Quan, he already knew what was going on. However, this was Qin Sheng's business and had nothing to do with him. Naturally, he would not intervene. Zhao Song was left in the living room, while Qin Sheng brought Hong Tao and Bai Yong to the basement. When they pushed open the basement door, there was a man guarding Hong Xing inside. At this moment, he was playing with his phone. Hearing the noise, he looked up. When he saw the strangers, he frowned and asked, "You are?" Hong Tao walked over with a smile and said, "Boss asked us to come." The man did not think much at all. He laughed and stood up to welcome them. "Oh, it turns out that you are one of us." When he approached Hong Tao suddenly grabbed his neck, raised his knee and slammed it 4 or 5 times. Before the man could come back to his senses, his face was already covered in blood and he fell to the ground. At this moment, Qin Sheng and the others saw Hong Xing, who was tied to the pillar and was badly mutilated. Hong Tao and Bai Yong hurriedly ran over. With red eyes they exclaimed, Brother, how are you?" Qin Sheng could not bear to look at Hong Xing's miserable state. He did not expect that this group of people would torture Hong Xing like this. Obviously, Hong Xing did not betray Jiang Xianbang. Otherwise, he would not be treated like this. Hong Xing, who was dispirited, vaguely heard someone calling him brother. He slowly opened his eyes, which were already blurred by blood. It took him a long time to see his family standing in front of him clearly. He instantly became emotional and said, You are finally here. I knew that Mr. Jiang would not give up on me." As he spoke, the old man in his tens of years started to cry. It could be seen how much he had suffered these days. It's okay. Let's go home. Hong Tao hurriedly untied Hong Xing. At this moment, Qin Sheng walked over and said calmly, "Brother Hong, you have suffered." "You?" Hong Xing did not know Qin Sheng and looked very confused. Qin Sheng hurriedly explained, "Brother Hong, it was Mr. Jiang who asked me to save you." Hong Xing wanted to say something, but Qin Sheng saw that he was really exhausted and could very likely die at any time. He quickly said, "Brother Hong, don't say anything. Let's talk after we get out of here." After that, Qin Sheng told Bai Yong and Hong Tao, "You two take turns to carry Brother Hong out. Let's get on the boat first." Without saying anything, the two immediately carried Hong Xing out. When they reached the living room, Zhang Zibang saw Hong Xing being carried out and said in a low voice, "Found him?" "Yes." Qin Sheng nodded silently and said, "We can leave now." What about them? Zhang Zibang pointed at Zhao Song and Zhao Quan, the uncle and nephew. Qin Shing said thoughtfully, let's take them first and deal with them later. We can't deal with them now. Zhang Zibang agreed with Qin Shing's idea, and asked his men to tie Zhao Quan up. They wanted to tie Zhao Song up, but were stopped by Qin Shing. After all, Zhao Song was not involved in this matter. Otherwise, they would not have come here. Qin Shing still believed in Zhao Song. As for the others present, they could not be bothered. Their bosses could not contact them and would naturally send people over. The group of people evacuated from the villa. 2 boats were already waiting by the lake. Zhang Ziyu was also on it. They did not stop and left immediately. When they arrived at Chun'an County, they did not hesitate and went straight to Hangzhou by car. At this moment, there were only 3 people left in Qin Shing's car. Zhao Quan and Zhao Song were detained in the 2 cars at the back. Bai Yong drove and Hong Tao took care of Hong Xing at the back. Qin Shing sat in the passenger seat and quickly reported to Jiang Xianbang. In the middle of the night, Jiang Xianbang was still awake. He was cleaning his bottles and cans in the collection room. During this time, Jiang Xianbang was thinking about donating all his collections to several major museums, including Shaanxi History Museum, Nanjing Museum, National Museum, and Palace Museum. Outsiders did not know how many things he had collected over the years, not including those he traded or gave away. Often, people suggested that he set up a private museum, just like that rich lady's Rosewood Museum or Ma Weidu's private museum. However, Jiang Xianbang did not take it seriously. This was because he knew that once these things were exhibited, it would cause a commotion. By that time, those busybodies would dig deeper into the clues behind them. He would die without a burial place, and it would also implicate too many people behind him. For ordinary people, these things were valuable antiques and cultural relics. However, for Jiang Xianbang, these things represented his entire life, from the earliest to the latest. They could form a chronicle. However, Jiang Xianbang could not bear to let these things be sealed here. Especially after this incident, Jiang Xianbang realized that the direction of the situation was not right. Some people had started to trace his original sin, so he wanted to donate these things as soon as possible. These days, Jiang Xianbang could not sleep well. He was constantly concerned about what was happening in Hangzhou. He did not know if Qin Shing could handle it properly. If he could not, he would really have to go to Hangzhou. This would obviously expose him, and he would owe some favors or make some deals. However, there was no other way. When the phone beside him started to vibrate, Jiang Xianbang was shocked. The piece of jade in his hand almost fell to the ground. He secretly scolded himself for not being calm enough recently. After calming down, he picked up the phone. However, he did not speak and only waited for Qin Shing to speak. "I found Brother Hong," Qin Shing said in a deep voice. After hearing this, Jiang Xianbang breathed a sigh of relief. He was finally relieved. Then he asked, "How is he?" "He is still alive, but he was tortured beyond recognition. He needs a hospital. Should he stay in Hangzhou or go back to Shanghai directly?" Qin Shing asked. Jiang Xianbang thought for a moment and said, "Stay in Hangzhou. I will contact them now. Wait for my news." "Okay, there is something else. I will report to you later," Qin Shing said thoughtfully. He was not in a hurry to tell him about the twists and turns. At 1 o'clock in the morning, Qin Shing and the others finally rushed back to Hangzhou. Jiang Xianbang had already contacted a private hospital. Hong Xing was directly sent there for treatment. Zhao Quan and Zhao Song were taken away by Zhang Zibang. Qin Shing could not take care of them now. He did not leave the hospital until Jiang Xianbang sent someone to take over. After a night of torment, Qin Shing and the others were a little tired. They booked a room in a hotel near the hospital and had a good sleep. At this time, in Jiushi Rose Garden, an old man over 60 years old was anxiously waiting for news. He had lost contact with Qiandao Lake, which made the old man very angry. "Foster father, don't worry. I have already sent someone over," a man in a suit beside him said in a deep voice. The old man was wearing a tang suit and scolded, "What are you doing? You can't even handle such a small matter. What can you do?" The man was scolded and did not dare to breathe. He was responsible for this matter. If something really happened, he would definitely not be able to escape the responsibility. After a while, a subordinate came in from outside and whispered something in the man's ear. The man looked a little unnatural. After the subordinate left, the man gritted his teeth and said, "Foster father, there is news." "How is it?" the old man hurriedly said. Hong Xing was related to him, taking down Jiang Xianbang and the power behind Jiang Xianbang. Naturally, he could not take it lightly. The man said helplessly, Hong Xing was rescued. After hearing the news, the old man directly smashed a pair of high-quality walnuts in his hands and said angrily, "Find out. I want to see who is so capable." Chapter 112. Is it true? Thanks to the generous gifts, this is the second chapter for today. Thank you for your gift. I hope you can continue to support me. Give more monthly votes and collect more. Gifts are the most direct way. Rich people, come on. Early in the morning, Qin Sheng was awakened by a hurried knock on the door when he was still asleep. Because he had slept late last night, he had not gotten up yet. He could not help but curse in his heart. He did not know who was so uncultured so early in the morning. When Qin Sheng opened the door in his bathrobe, he saw clearly who was so uncultured. It turned out to be the violent lady Zhang Ziyu. Qin Sheng could not help but curse. "Are you crazy early in the morning? If there is something urgent, let's talk later. I need to sleep for a while more." After saying that, Qin Sheng was about to close the door and chase her away, but Zhang Ziyu blocked the door with her body. "Sleep your ass. Don't you see what time it is? You haven't slept enough. Hurry up and get up. My brother wants to talk to you, don't make me do it." Qin Sheng did not bother to pay attention to her. He directly turned around and went into the room. He jumped up and continued to sleep on the bed. He was really a little sleepy. However, Zhang Ziyu did not let him go. She grabbed Qin Sheng's arm and tried to pull him up. However, Qin Sheng's 160-pound body was not easy to pull up. Qin Sheng was a little angry and said angrily, "Zhang Ziyu, if you touch me again, don't blame me for not being polite." Zhang Ziyu snorted coldly and said, "Don't be polite if you can." Qin Sheng was angry. He forcefully pulled Zhang Ziyu directly on the bed. Then, with a beautiful roll, he pressed Zhang Ziyu on the bed. Zhang Ziyu was wearing black leather pants today. Although her upper body did not show off, her slender legs could make a man's nose run. Her appearance was not bad, although not as good as those beauties that Qin Sheng knew. "What do you want to do?" Zhang Ziyu was a little flustered. She struggled to get up, but Qin Sheng directly locked her arms and pressed her legs. No matter how hard she tried, she could not get up. Qin Sheng showed a lascivious smile and said, "A man and a woman alone in the same room, you threw yourself at me. What else can I do? You forced me to do this." "Qin Sheng, I'm warning you, don't mess around. If you dare to mess around, my brother will definitely not let you off," Zhang Ziyu said anxiously. She had been molested by Qin Sheng in the past, which was also the reason why she did not say anything after seeing Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng admired Zhang Ziyu's graceful body. He unscrupulously unzipped Zhang Ziyu's down jacket, revealing her breasts. Zhang Ziyu went to the gym every day and practiced yoga at the same time. Her figure. "I will. You. Zhang. Qin Sheng, I was wrong. I apologize to you." Zhang Ziyu knew that she was no match for Qin Sheng. If he really wanted to do something, she would not be able to resist. She could only beg for mercy. Qin Sheng licked his lips and said, "Now you know you are wrong. Where is your arrogance just now? I am wrong. I am really wrong. Get up. Zhang Ziyu cried. No matter how fearless she was still a little scared at this moment. Qin Sheng playfully said, Call me master. I am wrong. Master, I am wrong. Zhang Ziyu was a little humiliated. That's more like it. After hearing this, Qin Sheng immediately turned around and let Zhang Ziyu go. After breaking free from Qin Sheng's restraint, Zhang Ziyu was embarrassed and angry. She stood up and punched Qin Sheng. Unfortunately, Qin Sheng directly grabbed her arm and said, Think carefully. You only have one chance. Let go. Zhang Ziyu calmed down and gritted her teeth. Qin Sheng shook off Zhang Ziyu's arm. Zhang Ziyu stood there with red eyes. Her eyes were about to spit fire, but she could not do anything to Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng left before her. What are you standing there for? I am going to take a shower. Do you want to join me? Qin Sheng stared at Zhang Ziyu and teased her again. Although this silly girl of the Zhang family had a hot personality, she was not bad at heart. It was just that she lacked femininity. Compared with Miss Song, she was totally different. She was a vixen who could charm men to death with just one look. In the end, Zhang Ziyu left in embarrassment and annoyance. She had no choice but to wait outside. Anyway, every time she fought with Qin Sheng, she had never won, especially when Qin Sheng slipped away under her nose several times. This made her very angry. In her eyes, Qin Sheng was a despicable, cunning, sly, lecherous, and wretched villain. After more than 10 minutes, Qin Sheng also came out after taking a shower. Hong Tao and Bai Yong had already gone to the hospital. After all, they were more familiar with Hong Xing, so they felt relieved to watch over him. All right, let's go. After Qin Sheng came out, he shouted to Zhang Ziyu who was outside. Half an hour later, they arrived at the Western-style building next to Xiang Lake. Zhao Quan and Zhao Song were also here. Zhao Quan was locked in a windowless room, while Zhao Song was upstairs in the bedroom. He basically did not come out except for eating. Qin Sheng had already reported to Jiang Xianbang about what happened during this period. He asked him how to deal with Bai Yong and Zhao Quan, and Jiang Xianbang also gave him an answer. Hangzhou was indeed nice today. The sun shone on the ground. Zhang Zibang was basking in the sun and drinking tea on the rooftop. This trip to Hangzhou was over. Qin Sheng had already promised him that when Hong Xing woke up, he would bring him to get that thing. However, the most important thing to invite Qin Sheng over today was to get back the Zhang family's ancient jade. What he was most worried about now was that Qin Sheng would cheat him. Therefore, after returning to Hangzhou, he asked someone to keep an eye on Qin Sheng. He could not get through to Qin Sheng's phone in the morning, so he asked Ziyu to look for him personally. I've done what I should do between you and me. I've found the person. Now it's time for you to fulfill your promise, right? Zhang Zibang was rarely relaxed. He squinted his eyes and drank tea. Qin Sheng smiled and said, Of course, I'm an honest man. I mean what I say. However, it's said that the Zhang family's ancient jade is priceless. You should at least show some appreciation. Zhang Zibang and Zhang Ziyu's faces changed instantly. Zhang Ziyu was furious and said, Qin Sheng, don't be so shameless. If you don't say it today, don't even think about walking out of here. Qin Sheng, don't play trick. Zhang Zibang put down the teacup and stared at Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng laughed and said, I'm just joking. Look at how scared you are. I'll definitely tell you. Otherwise, you'll chase me to the ends of the earth again. Then say it. Zhang Ziyu was a little impatient. Now this was the most important thing. As long as her brother could get the ancient jade, it would be a first-class contribution. At that time, he would definitely be appreciated by the old master and then be entrusted with important tasks. Qin Sheng thought for a while last night and felt that he was at a disadvantage. So he planned to bargain and said, Lao Zhang, I can tell you where the ancient jade is. But now it's a little troublesome. I may not be able to give you the thing I promised you, because the boss behind me refused my private deal with you and even scolded me. I really don't have the face to see you. What do you mean? Zhang Zibang squinted and said. Qin Xing said slowly, I can only choose between the ancient jade and that thing. I was also forced to do it. I think you're courting death. Zhang Ziyu directly rushed in front of Qin Xing and pointed the dagger in her hand directly at Qin Xing's neck. Qin Xing was like a dead pig afraid of boiling water. He said, Anyway, I'm in a dilemma now. If I promise you, the boss will kill me. If I refuse you, you will kill me. We're both going to die. So give me a quick death. I don't believe that you're really not afraid of death. Zhang Ziyu's dagger in her hand had already reached Qin Xing's throat. Zhang Zibang's face was livid. He waved his hand and said, Ziyu, step back. Brother, he is a rascal, Zhang Ziyu said angrily. Zhang Zibang said angrily, I asked you to step back. Zhang Ziyu had no choice but to coldly snort a few times and stand aside. She hated Qin Xing very much, but there was nothing she could do. Qin Xing, what do you mean? Zhang Zibang was not angry but laughed. Qin Xing said slowly, You take a step back and leave me a way out. I promise that you can get the ancient jade, and I will not cheat. I am now in Shanghai and will take root there in the future. If you want to find me, it's very easy. I won't act recklessly. Zhang Zibang stood up and lit a cigarette, lost in thought. That thing was also specified by his grandfather, but he was one step slower than Jiang Xianbang, so he chased him to Hangzhou. The ancient jade was the lifeblood and face of the Zhang family. His grandfather had always been thinking about it, so his health was getting worse and worse. Between the two, obviously he could only choose the ancient jade. There was no need to say more, but he was afraid that someone in the family would talk. If he could get both, the trip to Hangzhou would be perfect, but Qin Xing Zhang Zibang sighed. No matter what Qin Xing did, even if he killed him, it would not be enough to vent his hatred. How could one life be worth the ancient jade and his future? Okay, I promise you, I can give up that thing, but you must give me the ancient jade. If there are any more twists and turns, Qin Xing, you can rest assured that I will not do anything for the rest of my life until I kill you, Zhang Zibang said resolutely and decisively. Qin Xing nodded. Qin Xing was shocked by Zhang Zibang's words. What kind of hatred did he have? It seemed that Zhang Zibang did not dare to mess around anymore, or he would really fight to the death. Just now, he was just testing Zhang Zibang. If Zhang Zibang did not agree, Qin Xing had no choice but to hand over that thing. He did not expect that Zhang Zibang would agree, which surprised him a little. It seemed that the family heirloom jade was more important to the Zhang family. Don't worry, I dare not, Qin Xing said with a smile. Zhang Zibang said in a low voice, Can you tell me now? Qin Xing looked around at his subordinates, meaning that there were a lot of people, so Zhang Zibang immediately asked everyone to leave, leaving only him and Zhang Ziyu. Qin Xing sighed and said, When your two families chased me, you chased me all the way to Qinghai. I hid in the Tower Temple and knew that I could not take the thing with me. Coincidentally, I met the living Buddha Rocco of the Tower Temple and formed a good relationship. So I gave the ancient jade to the living Buddha Rocco and told him that someone would come to get it one day. You go to the Tower Temple and find the living Buddha Rocco, he will naturally give it to you. Is what you said true? Zhang Zibang said doubtfully. Yes, Qin Xing said without hesitation. Chapter 113. Getting into Trouble, recommend a TV series, In the Name of the People, the most powerful anti-corruption drama in history. It's all played by a group of veteran actors. You can also read the novel. I finished watching the updated TV series and the novel. This was a profitable business. He had found Hong Xing, completed Jiang Xianbang's task, and kept that thing. The old thing that had lasted for more than 2 years was completely over. Qin Shing felt very relaxed. He felt that the sun in the early winter was warmer than usual. Qin Shing was in a good mood. Zhang Zibang did not hesitate and immediately prepared to go to Xining Tower Temple. Zhang Ziyu was left in Hangzhou to deal with the trivial matters. After Zhang Zibang left, Zhang Ziyu was still worried about Qin Shing. I always feel that you're up to no good. Qin Shing really did not have any good intentions. He was planning to inform the Song family later. What happened in the past? Let's restore the situation in the past now. Don't involve me in the fight between the Zhang family and the Song family. I live in Shilin Huiyuan, Shanghai. My phone is always on. With your ability, if I lie to you, it'll be easy to find me again. Qin Shing told Zhang Ziyu the truth. Zhang Ziyu snorted. I hope everything goes well. Otherwise, you'll have to be careful. Qin Shing could not be bothered with the insensitive Zhang Ziyu. After asking where Zhao Song and Zhao Quan were, he went downstairs to deal with the two troublemakers. In the bedroom downstairs, Zhao Song did not eat for the whole day. He kept thinking about how third uncle betrayed Mr. Jiang. What would Mr. Jiang do to them? Would he kill them all? When the door to the room was pushed open, Zhao Song was still in a daze. He had entered society at a young age and experienced the different classes and complexities of society. This made him much more mature than his peers. Most children of his age were still enjoying the last years of school life, but he had been working hard with his uncle to survive since a young age. Perhaps he was more suited for this kind of life, or perhaps he deserved a better life, but there was never a second chance in life. After choosing a path, he could only continue moving forward. What are you thinking about? Qin Shing whispered. Zhao Song finally came back to his senses. The room was full of cigarette butts and the curtains were drawn. It was as if his life had fallen into darkness. Seeing Qin Shing come in, Zhao Song quickly got up and said, Brother Qin, you're here. If I don't come, I'm afraid you'll take things too hard. Qin Shing gave Zhao Song a cigarette, planning to have a good chat with him. Zhao Song lit up his cigarette and took the initiative to light it for Qin Shing. Although he was a man of few words, he was very perceptive. Perhaps he had been influenced by his uncle. Brother Qin, how does Mr. Jiang plan to deal with my third uncle? Zhao Song couldn't help but ask. Qin Shing asked back, What do you think? Zhao Song's eyes flickered with worry. He trembled and said, You're not going to kill my third uncle, are you? Qin Shing laughed out loud. He guessed that both Zhao Song and Zhao Quan were thinking the same thing. When Qin Shing asked how he should deal with this pair of uncle and nephew, Jiang Xianbang hesitated for a moment and finally gave an answer that surprised Qin Shing. This was not in line with Jiang Xianbang's usual style of doing things. Qin Shing did not ask much and just did as he was told. Brother Qin, what are you laughing at? Zhao Song asked, puzzled. Qin Shing explained, I'm laughing at your good luck. Mr. Jiang has let you off. Considering that there were no major problems this time, Brother Hong is fine, everything is still there, and your uncle has been with him for so many years. He asked your uncle to retire and go home. Don't do this anymore. Otherwise, if he finds out, he won't give you a second chance. Really, Mr. Jiang really said that? Zhao Song was a little excited. This result was far beyond his expectations. If it was true, it would be great. Zhao Song, who was usually a man of few words, had an excited smile on his face. Qin Shing smiled bitterly and said, Why would I lie to you? I'll ask him about some things later, then he can leave. He has to leave Hangzhou within 3 days. That's great. Thank you, Brother Qin. Thank you, Mr. Jiang, Zhao Song said incoherently. He had been worried since last night. If his uncle died, he really didn't know what to do. Qin Shing sighed and said, Zhao Song, if your uncle goes back, where will you go? After spending a few days together, Qin Shing admired Zhao Song, so he had some considerations. Me? Zhao Song instantly fell into confusion. Qin Xing recalled the conversation he had with Zhao Song when he first got to know him. He smiled and said, "Didn't you tell me that your uncle would retire after working for another 3 years? By then, you would go back to your hometown and start a small business. After that, you would get married and have children." "Brother Qin, I don't want to go back." Zhao Song suddenly looked up at Qin Xing and said very sincerely. Qin Xing was puzzled and asked, "Why?" "I came from a small place, and I don't want to go back. I was joking with you in the past. Uncle does plan to retire, but I want to stay in the big city. I want to make a name for myself," Zhao Song said firmly. "Then what? Your uncle is gone, how are you going to make a name for yourself?" Qin Xing laughed and said. Zhao Song didn't know if he grabbed onto a rope in his confusion, or if he had identified Qin Xing. He gritted his teeth and said, "Brother Qin, I'll follow you from now on. I think you'll definitely achieve something." "Me?" Qin Xing suddenly laughed out loud and said, Zhao Song, I don't even know what to do. How can I care about you?" "I think you're just trying to find a doctor in a desperate situation." "Yes, but not exactly." Zhao Song shook his head and said, "Mr. Jiang trusts you and I admire your way of doing things. I think I can trust you. Moreover, I have nowhere to go now. Even if I'm wrong, I can only take a gamble." "You're quite honest," Qin Xing said happily. Zhao Song still insisted, "Brother Qin, just let me follow you." Qin Xing was deep in thought and did not rush to answer. He was thinking about one thing. Jiang Xianbang was grooming him to be his successor. He really needed his own people to do some things. Zhao Song had followed Zhao Quan for so many years. He should have some understanding of some things. Maybe it would be useful. After a long time, Qin Xing finally raised his head and stared at Zhao Song. "You can follow me, but I don't have the ability to help you make a name for yourself now. You have to endure it slowly, but I have a request." "What request?" Zhao Song asked seriously. Qin Xing said in a low voice, "Absolute loyalty. If you learn from your uncle, I'll definitely kill you with my own hand." "Okay," Zhao Song replied without hesitation. Of course, Qin Xing would not believe such cheap loyalty. It was just that Zhao Song was useful to him. So he said, "After your uncle leaves, you stay in the hospital to look after Brother Hong. Wait for my arrangements in the future." After saying this, Qin Xing got up and left. Zhao Song had brains, skills, and a pretty good appearance. He would definitely be useful in the future. After leaving Zhao Song's place, Qin Xing went to Zhao Quan's place. Zhao Quan's windowless room had the lights on. There was a bottle of Nulanshan Erguotu on the table, but it was almost empty. There were still some leftovers from outside. He was much more relaxed than Zhao Song. "Are you here to send me off?" Zhao Quan, who was leaning against the bed, said absent-mindedly. Qin Xing did not deny it. He nodded and said, "Yes, on behalf of Mr. Jiang." "Then do it. I'll take responsibility for my own actions. This is the path I chose. I've lost and I'll bear the consequences. However, this has nothing to do with Zhao Song. I hope you won't take it out on him." Zhao Quan was a man of his word, but he was also worried for Zhao Song. This was what he was most afraid of. "Of course we won't take it out on him. You can rest assured," Qin Xing said with a smile. Then, he pulled a chair over and sat down, ignoring the dust on it. He said, "But before that, I have a few things to clarify. Mr. Jiang also wants to know." "Ask away," Zhao Quan said casually, without even lifting his head. Qin Xing said slowly, "Why did you betray Mr. Jiang? He's been good to you all these years." "The reason is simple. Jiang Xianbang is going to die. I don't want to die with him. After earning this money, I plan to bring Zhao Song back to my hometown and hide our identities." At this point, Zhao Quan had no intention of hiding anything. This sentence shocked Qin Xing. Jiang Xianbang was going to die? Why did Zhao Quan say that Jiang Xianbang was going to die? You definitely don't understand. These people don't want the ancient bronze sword from the Warring States period. They want Hong Xing. He knows too many of Jiang Xianbang's secret. I'm just cashing in and getting the ancient bronze sword from the Warring States period. This way, it'll be enough for me to retire, Zhao Quan explained slowly. Qin Xing fell into deep thought. No wonder Jiang Xianbang wanted to see Hong Xing alive or dead. If he betrayed him, he would kill him directly. So that was why. It seemed that Jiang Xianbang had realized that the risk was not right. After coming back to his senses, Qin Xing still did not understand. He continued to ask, "That night, was it you who set it up?" "It was me." "Why did you fake your death?" "To cover my tracks. This way, I could completely clear my name." After everything was over, I contacted Zhao Song and left with him. From then on, I disappeared. "Why didn't you kill me and let me go?" Qin Xing continued to ask. Zhao Quan shook his head and said, "I thought about killing you. But when we were in the car, I knew that you really didn't know where the ancient bronze sword was. So it was useless to kill you. It would only make Jiang Xianbang's counterattack more violent. By then, it was very likely that I would get into trouble. Secondly, if I kept you alive, I might not be able to find that thing." "I understand," Qin Xing said thoughtfully. This Zhao Quan was really astute. He had really underestimated him. Zhao Quan sneered and said, "What else do you want to ask? Ask away." "Nothing." Qin Xing had already asked all the questions he needed to ask. Zhao Quan stood up and said, "Then let's do it." He was already prepared to face death. When he made that choice, he had already thought of the worst. But wealth came from danger. This was a big deal. However, at this time, Qin Xing suddenly said, "You go. Mr. Jiang will let you go. Leave Hangzhou and wash your hands of the world. Otherwise, you will bear the consequences." "What?" Hearing Qin Xing's words, Zhao Quan's expression changed instantly. He was stunned and did not know what to do. He did not expect the final result to be like this. Jiang Xianbang actually let him go. Chapter 114. All right. In this era where there was no belief, how many people could be trusted? How many were loyal? And how much trust and loyalty were built on the premise of equal benefits? They became hypocritical, dirty, and had no bottom line. They became unscrupulous and deceitful. They claimed that this was the way to live a better life. They claimed that this was the way to survival and success. Those who were honest were accused of having low EQ. Those who were loyal were always hurt. Those who had faith were ridiculed, and those who had principles were satirized. What should this society be like? Or was it what they said it was? Qin Xing was confused sometimes. But he firmly believed that those who stick to themselves and never forget their original intentions would become a flower that would never wither in this world. Qin Xing found Zhao Quan's reason and Zhao Song's loyalty a little ridiculous. But he could not do anything about it. When they deviated from the right track, it was destined that this day would come. Jiang Xianbang said that he would let them go, so Qin Xing would let them go. After all, his matter was over. After leaving the place, Qin Xing took out his phone and found a number that he had not contacted for a long time. He sent a message, "Your Song family's ancient jade is in Shining Tower Temple. Please look for the living Buddha Rocco. No need to thank me, I am Lei Feng." This number belonged to the fox's fiancée, Miss Song. Not long after, there was a reply, "Who are you?" Qin Xing did not respond. After a while, there was a reply, "Are you Qin Xing?" Qin Xing still ignored it. Then, there was a call. Qin Xing rejected it directly. At least for now, he did not want to be entangled with the past. He had a new life. Qin Xing returned to the hotel to pack his things. He told the hospital and bought the nearest high-speed train ticket. Then, he rushed back to Shanghai. On the high-speed train, he did not read anymore. Instead, he had a good sleep. As for the ancient bronze sword from the Warring States period, it had been sent back to Shanghai by Jiang Xianbang. It had nothing to do with Qin Sheng. When he returned to Shilin Huayuan, it was just in the afternoon. He had been busy in Hangzhou for 4 to 5 days. He had almost forgotten that he had been suspended from Shangshan Ruoshui for a week. He had even prepared to go back to Shangshan Ruoshui to continue working. When he thought of this, he did not know whether to laugh or cry. He did not inform Jiang Xianbang. Qin Sheng had to enjoy the remaining few days of vacation. After taking a shower, Qin Sheng changed into a set of clean and comfortable clothes. This trip to Hangzhou made Qin Sheng feel the hostility in his heart again. Fortunately, he managed to restrain himself and did not kill anyone in Hangzhou. Hence, Qin Sheng strolled along the busy streets and went to the market to buy some vegetables. He was prepared to cook dinner for Chang Baji, Hao Lei and Han Bing later. The market was noisy and lively. The sound of good wives and mothers and aunties bargaining could be heard incessantly. Sometimes, life was more about the daily necessities of daily necessities. There were not so many earth-shattering and magnificent events. When Qin Sheng returned to Shilin Huayuan, he happened to pass by the bookstore. It seemed that he had not visited it for a long time, so he went in with a smile. "Hey, Qin Sheng, I haven't seen you for many days." Brother Lu, who was at the cashier's desk, greeted him with a smile. Qin Sheng put the bag in his hand aside and replied, "I've been busy recently." "Qin Sheng, you got off work so early today, and you bought so many vegetables." Another shop assistant, Sister Tang, walked over and said, "I just came back from a business trip and took 2 days off." "Xiao Lo, come out quickly. Look who's here," Brother Lu shouted deliberately. Xiao Lu, who was packing inside, ran out hurriedly. His face was red as he said, "Brother Lu, what are you doing?" Brother Lu and Sister Tang could not help but laugh. They stopped interrupting and went about their own business. "You're here," Xiao Lu greeted Qin Sheng with his head lowered. Qin Sheng stared at Xiao Lu and teased, "What's wrong with you? Why did you cut your hair?" "Well, I still think you look better with long hair, but this air fringe is not bad either." "You have a glib tongue," Xiao Lu glared at Qin Sheng and said. Qin Sheng walked in and asked casually, "Are there any good books recently?" "Oh right, how's the thing I asked you to find out? Did that customer send any more books here?" "No, he hasn't come since the last time he sent a pile of books here. But I've already found the books you asked for, they're over there," Xiao Lu replied. She did not know what Qin Sheng meant by saying that he wanted to buy all the books that the customer sent, so she spent a lot of time looking for them. She finally finished the search 2 days ago, but unfortunately, she did not have Qin Sheng's contact information. Hearing this news, Qin Sheng was very happy and said, "Thank you, I'll take these books away later. Also, if that customer comes again in the future, help me get his contact information. As long as he sends books here, I'll buy them all." "Oh, you still know how to say thank you?" Xiao Lu mocked. However, she remembered Qin Sheng's matter. Qin Sheng should be the most loyal customer of this bookstore now. Xiao Lu especially liked men who liked to read, always feeling that they had a kind of scholarly aura. However, the mysterious boss who only came once or twice a year had once said, "Most righteous people are those who butcher dogs, but merciless people are always scholars." Qin Sheng knocked on Xiao Li's head out of curiosity, which made Xiao Li's face turn even redder. He ignored it and walked in alone to see what other books he could find. After staying in the bookstore for half an hour, he found 2 history books. One was The Resurgence of the Two Dynasties from the Song Dynasty, and the other was The Records of the Ming Dynasty from the Ming Dynasty. Anyway, every time he came here, he would find something. Although this bookstore was not big, there were many books inside. After packing all the books of that customer, including these 2 books, he spent a total of less than 400 yuan. Qin Sheng, who had gained quite a lot, greeted Xiao Lu and the rest, then carried the groceries home. When he reached home, he called Han Bing and Chang Baji, saying that he had returned from Hangzhou and would be cooking tonight. He asked them to come over for dinner. It seemed that after moving into Shilin Huayuan, he rarely cooked, so the equipment he bought was wasted. At 6:30 in the evening, when Qin Shing's dinner was almost ready, Han Bing brought Hao Lei and Chang Baji into the house one after another. After entering the house, Han Bing put down her bag, took off her coat, put on her shoes and ran into the kitchen, saying, "It smells so good, did you make all these?" "Nonsense, if it wasn't me, would it be you?" Qin Shing curled his lips and said proudly. "Don't tell me you ordered takeout," Han Bing said disapprovingly when she saw Qin Shing being so cocky. Before Qin Shing could refute, Han Bing pointed at him and said, "That's what you said about me last time." Qin Shing could not be bothered and continued to focus on cooking. Han Bing tied up her long hair, rolled up her sleeves and said, "What do you need help with?" "No need, sit outside and wait. This is the last dish, dinner will be ready soon." Qin Shing pushed Han Bing out directly, afraid that she would make trouble. Although she could cook, she could only eat. Han Bing did not insist. As an independent woman with good taste in the new era, Han Bing did not want to become an old woman at an early age. If that happened, her husband would despise her. After washing his hands, he sobered up the red wine he brought. Not long after, the last dish was ready. "Why are you in such a good mood today?" "Something's not right," Han Bing asked with a puzzled look. This seemed to be the first time Qin Shing cooked. Qin Shing said indifferently, "Is it? I just came back from a business trip and feel relaxed. I still have a few days off, so I'll cook for you guys. Try it first, if you like it, don't worry, I won't cook again." Everyone thought that Qin Shing would say something nice. They did not expect him to say the same old thing. They could not help but laugh. "Well, it's delicious." Han Bing tasted the sweet and sour carp, which was more to her taste, and praised it. Then she tasted a few more dishes and said, "Delicious, much better than mine. It seems that I have to come here more often in the future." I don't have time to cook," Qin Shing quickly stopped. Han Bing pouted and said, "Stingy, look at how scared you are." After they clinked glasses, Chang Baji said calmly, "Is everything going well in Hangzhou?" Hao Lei and Han Bing did not think much about it. After all, Qin Shing and Chang Baji were now working in Shangshan Ruoshui. Although there were some twists and turns, it was still smooth. "Otherwise, I wouldn't have come back so early," Qin Shing explained casually and then asked, "How's business in Shangshan Ruoshui these days?" "It's okay, I didn't pay much attention." Chang Baji did not know what Qin Shing meant and said honestly. Qin Shing said thoughtfully, "You can observe tomorrow and see if there is a decrease in the number of customers." "What's wrong?" Chang Baji frowned. Qin Shing explained casually, "Nothing. I just have a little guess and want to verify it." Chang Baji nodded and said, "All right, I'll pay attention tomorrow." Time flew. It was almost New Year's Day. Thinking of going back to Xi'an with Lin Xian to celebrate Auntie Wang's birthday, Qin Shing asked casually, "Hao Lei, I may go back to Xi'an on New Year's Day. Will you go back?" Hao Lei had left in a hurry the last time and did not have time to tell his family in detail. However, he still had to protect Han Bing, so he asked hesitantly, "What about Han Bing?" "It's a 3-day holiday for New Year's Day. I'll go back to Xi'an with you. You can show me around." Han Bing couldn't wait to go out to play. It had been a long time since she went out to relax. Qin Shing hesitated for a while and said, "That's fine. It's settled then. I'll go back to Xi'an on New Year's Day." After dinner, Qin Shing sent Han Bing back and accompanied her for a walk outside. They did not leave until it was very late, but Han Bing was still reluctant to leave. When dawn arrived, Qin Shing went out early again and set off from Shilin Huayuan. He ran all the way to the flower shop next to Polly Square. It did not take him long to get there. He walked and stopped for 40 minutes. When the waitress saw Qin Shing, she immediately thought of this customer who only wanted a white rose. She asked casually, "A white rose?" Qin Sheng nodded and paid for the flowers under the waitress's contemptuous gaze. He estimated that he would always be despised in the future. The receptionist of Lin Su's company was already at work. It was an old acquaintance. This time, it was not as troublesome as last time. Qin Sheng directly handed the flowers to her and said, "Boss Lin ordered it." "Okay." The receptionist politely took it. Qin Sheng left happily. He took the bus back to Shilin Huayuan and ate his breakfast outside. He planned to read the heavenly book today and exercise in the afternoon. He would wait until the evening to find Jiang Xianbang. As soon as he entered the bedroom, Lin Su called. This time, it was not a text message. "You're back?" Standing in front of the window, Lin Su smelled the pure white rose and smiled. She naturally knew that the white rose was from Qin Sheng. It meant that Qin Sheng had returned from his business trip. Since he was willing to give it to her, she would not stop him. Qin Sheng said happily, "I just came back last night." "What are you doing at noon?" Lin Su, who was in a bad mood, planned to give herself half a day off. Qin Sheng shook his head and said, "Nothing." "Treat me to hot pot," Lin Su said very directly. For any man, if the goddess in his heart took the initiative to invite him, he would have to be stupid to refuse. Chapter 115. Why not? Begging for monthly votes, begging for monthly votes, begging for monthly votes. It was said that one had to be bold, careful, and thick-skinned to woo a woman. The most important thing was to have a sense of propriety. However, everyone knew the general principle, but there were very few people who could do it. Some people were born with skills and talent, some people studied hard, and some people did not dare to try. However, for a woman like Lin Su, this kind of routine was obviously not suitable. What she needed was the intersection of heart and spirit, and these things came second. Therefore, Qin Sheng already had an advantage. Next, he needed to do it step by step. He did not contact Lin Su frequently. An independent and successful woman disliked being pestered by others the most. Therefore, when he returned to Shanghai, Lin Su understood everything with a white rose. This morning, Qin Sheng had been reading all the time. The ancient people said that there was beauty in books, and there was a house of gold in books. This was not just a saying, there was a general principle in it. Reading was the simplest and most direct way to retest oneself. However, most people often chose a more difficult way and ignored this simplest way. It was not until noon that Qin Sheng put away the book Resurgence of the Two Dynasties. This book had a total of 4 volumes, and this was only one of them. Talked about the events of the Gaozong and Xiaozong dynasties in the Southern Song dynasty. It recorded the events of these two dynasties in the form of chronicles. It was an important document to study the history of the early years of the Southern Song dynasty. Apart from the more professional books, Qin Sheng felt that philosophy, history, and sociology were the more important type. He could learn a lot of things from them. Usually, these were the types that many people did not like. However, they were the favorite books of those successful people who were in a superior position. It was just past 12 o'clock when he took the bus to Bali Square. Qin Sheng called Lin Su and told her that he would wait for her downstairs. Lin Su said that she would come down later, as she still had some things to deal with. The weather in Shanghai was not good today. The weather forecast said that there would be rain and snow, so Qin Sheng brought an umbrella. As expected, it was already raining in the winter, mixed with 1 or 2 snowflakes. Coupled with the northwest wind that seemed to be approaching winter, Qin Sheng really wanted to say that it was so damn cold. This was much colder than the winter in Xi'an. No wonder there were only a few people coming out of the Poly Plaza office building at this time. On the other hand, the delivery guys were unstoppable. Life really wasn't easy. Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng was in a daze. He planned to go shopping with Xinshin these 2 days, and buy some warm clothes and cosmetics for this girl. All girls love to be beautiful, but Qin Sheng knew that Xinshin would definitely not be willing to spend money recklessly. He could not take himself seriously, but he definitely loved this sister very much. Hearing Lin Su's voice, Qin Sheng came back to his senses. He saw that Lin Su was walking over. She did not even take an umbrella with her. The cold wind blew her hair, and even her coat and scarf could not block out the cold wind. Hence, Qin Sheng hurriedly ran over. Qin Sheng complained, "You didn't even take an umbrella with you." Lin Su tied up her hair casually and said, "I didn't expect it to rain today. It's so cold outside. I'm sorry to have kept you waiting for so long." "You don't have to be so polite. We are old acquaintances." Qin Sheng did not care at all, just like most men. Lin Su teased him on purpose. "Then you're doing this to an old acquaintance." Qin Sheng smiled awkwardly and said, "This is called the pavilion closest to the water enjoys the moonlight first. Come on, you're still the same as before, always full of nonsense. Let's go, I'm starving. You owe me a hot pot, don't think of delaying any more." Lin Su wrapped her coat tightly and said in a sweet voice. There was only one umbrella. It was inevitable that there would be some body contact when the two of them were fighting. Qin Sheng tried his best to hold it for Lin Su. In this cold Shanghai, this scene was somewhat romantic. One of the scenes that Qin Sheng used to be most envious of was a couple walking in the rain with an umbrella. However, the two of them had only walked a few steps when a man stopped Lin Su and shouted, "Lin Su!" Lin Su raised her head and looked at the man. She did not expect him to come back. This scene was somewhat awkward. Lin Su frowned slightly and said, "Chaozong, why are you here? Why didn't you pick up the phone?" Yan Chaozong's face was livid, especially when he saw Qin Sheng next to her. However, he only took a quick glance at Qin Sheng and completely ignored him. To him, any man around Lin Su was not good enough to be a competitor. Ignoring him was the greatest humiliation. Lin Su was in a bad mood because of her relationship with Yan Chaozong. A few days ago, her grandmother came to Shanghai to discuss the marriage with the Yan family. Old Madam personally came, which put a lot of pressure on her. However, Lin Su also talked to her grandmother. She did not have any feelings for Yan Chaozong. They were more like friends. What her grandmother meant was that feelings could be cultivated slowly. "Didn't your grandfather, your parents and I all go through this way? Later on, our relationship was very good." The final result of this matter was that old Madam took a step back. If Lin Su could find a better one, if he could satisfy the Lin family, then the marriage with Yan Chaozong would be cancelled. At that time, she would personally talk to Old Master Yan. After all, Old Master Yan was not an unreasonable person. He did not care much about the matters of his children and grandchildren. However, the problem now was that Lin Su had no interest or feelings for Yan Chaozong, but Yan Chaozong liked Lin Su very much. He had already treated her as his future wife. Because of this, those pursuers around Lin Su left in a hubbub. Occasionally, those who did not know the truth also left in fear when they found out about this relationship. Lin Su said calmly, "I have something to do. It's not convenient for me to pick up your phone." "Is this what you mean by you have something to do?" Yan Chaozong looked at Qin Sheng next to him and snorted. "I think you are avoiding me. This is my personal matter. It has nothing to do with you. Yan Chaozong, you are not related to me, at least not now. Do I have to report everything I do to you?" Lin Su was a little angry. She was originally in a bad mood, but Yan Chaozong still did not know what to do. Yan Chaozong realized that he had said the wrong thing and quickly said, "I didn't mean that." Qin Sheng's face was calm. He just looked at the man in front of him quietly. Yan Chaozong, this name seemed a little familiar. However, to be honest, this man in front of him, in all aspects, he really could not be compared to him. The Bentley not far away should be his. Otherwise, the two men over there would keep staring at this place. I still have something to do. If there's anything, I'll contact you later. Lin Su purposely held Qin Sheng's arm. She did not want to continue to pester him, and left directly. This action made Qin Sheng feel a little helpless. It was over. This Yan Chaozong must have regarded him as a thorn in his side. Lin Su had caused him to get into trouble. Yan Chaozong's eyes were a little sinister. He stared at the backs of the two of them as they left. At this moment, in his eyes, Lin Su and this strange man were more like a couple. This action was really ambiguous. Since when did he, the young master of the Yan family, become someone else's background? Since when did he fail to get a woman? Yan Chaozong squinted his eyes and returned to the car. He said to his confidant in the passenger seat, "Xiong Wei, investigate this man. I want to see what kind of background he has. How dare he, Yan Chaozong, snatch a woman from me?" It was still the same old place, Xiaolonkan. Qin Sheng stopped a taxi and went to the crossroads of Middle Huaihai Road and South Zizing Road. After getting in the car, Lin Su did not speak and stared at Pudong outside the window in a daze. "Sigh, it seems that I'm going to be unlucky in the future." Qin Sheng sighed on purpose. He had to find something to talk about. Otherwise, the atmosphere would be a little depressing. Lin Su said without turning her head, "Don't you want to chase me? You'll meet him sooner or later. It's just that it's earlier." "The number 1 flower protector?" Qin Sheng asked. Lin Su did not rush. She slowly explained, "A few days ago, my grandmother came to Shanghai to discuss our marriage with his father. What do you think?" Just like what Lin Su said, if Qin Sheng really wanted to chase her, he would have to face Yan Chaozong. Any man would pale in comparison in front of Yan Chaozong. Even those rich playboys and young talents would be overshadowed. Moreover, as long as one was in Shanghai, he would know the capability of the Yan family. How many people could face the Yan family head-on? Since he had already seen it, he should let Qin Sheng know. This could also be considered as telling Qin Sheng the pressure and difficulties he would face. Maybe Qin Sheng would take the initiative to give up. No wonder. "Then tell me about my rival in love so that I can be prepared for a long battle." Qin Sheng took the initiative to speak. Lin Su thought for a moment, thinking about how to introduce Yan Chaozong. After a long time, she said, "If you want to know about Yan Chaozong, you have to know about the Yan family in the Bund. Once you know about the Yan family in the Bund, you will also know what kind of person Yan Chaozong is. Our two families are old friends. The Yan family has always been rooted in Shanghai and flourished. Our family has always been in Ningbo, but we also have a lot of business in Shanghai. Our two families have a lot of interactions. Yan family, no wonder I felt that the name was so familiar." Qin Sheng finally understood, but he was also a little shocked. He did not expect that he would actually be facing the young master of the Yan family. This rival in love was not simple, he could completely crush him. The difference was like heaven and earth. Lin Su was a little surprised. "You know about the Yan family? How many people in the Bund don't know about the Yan family?" "I heard a lot of customers talking about it," Qin Sheng said casually. He was the one who killed the Yan family's big lackey Zhou Wenwu. How could he not know about the Yan family? At this time, Lin Su stared at Qin Sheng seriously and said, "Are you afraid? You probably won't believe me even if I say I'm not. I think young Master Yan has already started to investigate me. He may come to talk to me soon. If he can't come to an agreement, then he will use threats and all kinds of tricks. How can I not be afraid?" Qin Sheng said honestly. Lin Su could not help but smile bitterly. "Then are you still going to chase him?" "Of course, why not?" Qin Sheng said resolutely. If a man could even give up the woman he liked, then what else could he not give up? Qin Sheng would never do this kind of thing. Lin Su was very confused. "Aren't you afraid? Why are you still going to chase him?" Just because he is the young master of the Yin family, I have to take the initiative to give up on you? Is it because I'm afraid that I don't dare to chase you? It doesn't make sense. Since I said that I want to chase you, I have already thought about everything that I will face. Unless one day you say that you have completely rejected me, then I will give up, Qin Shing said word by word. Not every man could say such words at this time, at least Lin Su had not met one so far. They would always be beaten down by their own or the external pressure, and could only give up in the end. Lin Su stared at Qin Shing and was speechless for a long time. Chapter 116. Offend. Begging for monthly votes, begging for collection. There was once an organization that interviewed hundreds of people over the age of 70 and asked them what they regretted in their lives. Most of the elderly said that there was nothing to regret, but there were too many regrets. One of them was easily giving up on the person they loved the most, and in the end, they would regret it for the rest of their lives. Qin Shing understood very well what it meant when he said these words to Lin Su. He was not a man who talked big. To him, promises and trust were more important than anything else. He could choose not to say it, but once he said it, he had to do it. Especially as a man, he had to live like this. Who was the Yen family? It was a big family that even people like Jiang Xianbang did not dare to provoke. They had been deeply rooted in the Bund for many years. How could he not be afraid? But compared to giving up on Lin Su, Qin Shing naturally made a choice. The Yen family was scary in Shanghai, but as long as Lin Su was willing to be with him, the motherland was so big. She could take root and sprout anywhere. Did she have to stubbornly stay in Shanghai? Most of the men who were pursuing Lin Su were either from extraordinary families or successful careers. Naturally, they were more afraid of the Yen family's background. Lin Su had met many men who immediately kept a respectful distance from her without hesitation after hearing Yen Chaozong's name. However, Qin Shing, despite knowing that there were tigers in the mountains, still went ahead. He was just saying it casually, or was it that the newborn calf was not afraid of the tiger? However, Lin Su's sudden question, "Do you dare to do this crazy thing?" scared Qin Shing. Qin Shing knew that this woman dared to do anything. Maybe she would really do something crazy when her imagination ran wild. Sure. Qin Shing only paused for a moment and directly nodded in agreement. Lin Su laughed and said, "Aren't you going to ask me what I'm doing? I believe in you. At least the things you can do are within the scope of my imagination. You won't go as far as murder, arson, smuggling, and drug trafficking. You are a rational and sensible woman," Qin Shing said with a faint smile. At least Qin Shing had agreed. Lin Su was already satisfied. However, she only had an impulse for a second. The next second she calmed down. She felt that it might really scare Qin Shing, and more importantly, everyone in the Lin family would be shocked. In the end, she gave up. Lin Su shook her head and said, "Forget it." Qin Shing did not ask further. "I'm in a bad mood today. I want to indulge myself for a day," Lin Su lamented. Qin Shing chuckled as he said, "Okay, I will accompany you." This was the duty of a flower guardian. Even if he had something to do, he had to refuse it. Not long after, they arrived at Xiaolonkan on Middle Huaihai Road. This time, Lin Su did not stand him up again. There were not many people eating. The two of them chose a table by the window and ordered the same dishes as last time. Hot Pot was the lover of winter. On such a cold rainy day, this hot pot was really comfortable. After finishing the hot pot, Qin Shing took the initiative to ask, "What do you want to do next?" Lin Su turned her head and stared at Qin Shing as she said deliberately, "Woman, when you're happy, you go shopping. When you're unhappy, you go shopping. Moreover, there's a free coolie like you, it'd be a pity if we don't use it." Qin Shing said half-jokingly, "Fine, I'll accompany you. Even if you want to commit murder and arson today, I'll accompany you. It's my honor to go shopping with a beauty. They did not go to Lujiazui, nor did they go to the busy Nanjing road. In the end, they chose Xintiandi. Women shopped aimlessly, and Lin Su was the same. The two of them strolled in the shopping mall of Xintiandi, stopping and walking. Lin Su did not care about the price when she bought things. She only cared about whether it was suitable for her. The first item might cost thousands or tens of thousands, and the second one might only cost dozens of yuan. This time they really shopped for 3 hours. Qin Shing's body was full of big and small bags, which made him somewhat regret agreeing to go shopping. However, he had to finish his act even if he had to hold back his tears. Luckily, Lin Su finally said that they would stop here for today. In 3 hours, Lin Su spent 20 or 30,000 yuan, which was naturally nothing to her. She did not ask Qin Shing to pay for her. Qin Shing did not pretend to be rich. After all, he was not her boyfriend yet, and Lin Su would not allow him to do so. For the sake of your hard work today, what do you want? I can give you a gift. Lin Su took the initiative to open her mouth. She was somewhat embarrassed. She had never let a man go shopping with her. She seldom went shopping, but occasionally bought a few clothes. It was already unprecedented for her to do this today. Qin Shing did not take the opportunity to answer. He smiled and declined. Forget it, I don't need anything. I'll save some money for you. I don't like to owe others. Since you accompany me shopping, I should give you a gift. Lin Su stubbornly said. Otherwise, she would really be embarrassed. Qin Shing felt that his relationship with Lin Su was progressing well since he could accompany her shopping. After spending a day together, they became more familiar with each other. Not every suitor had such an honor. Coincidentally, there was a bookstore downstairs. Qin Shing had always wanted to go to the bookstore and buy some books. After all, the small bookstore was full of old books, and there were no new works that kept up with the times. So he pointed to the bookstore downstairs and said, I like books, then give me some books. Okay. Lin Su was a little surprised, but she still agreed. She did not know whether Qin Shing really liked reading or he deliberately pretended to be for her. After all, she had seen this kind of man many times. This was a more artistic bookstore called Cat's Sky City. The bookstore was not very big, not as modern and big as Qingpin and Fengsua bookstores. There were some seats in the middle where people could drink coffee and so on. There were many people inside. After Qin Shing and Lin Su came in, they naturally became the focus of the whole scene. There were many beautiful women inside. However, as soon as Lin Su appeared, she instantly won the laurel. The men's eyes were all wide open. Some stared at her openly, some pretended to look at her, which more or less satisfied Qin Shing's little vanity. Lin Su also liked reading, but she was a little tired after walking around for a few hours. So she sat in her seat and drank coffee. Then Qin Shing entered the sea of books and wandered in the sea of knowledge. Sometimes, the more you know, the more you feel insignificant and ignorant you are, and the more you want to know. This is the common problem of most scholars. However, some people only read books for the sake of reading, while some people use what they learn and can turn knowledge into their own strength. Most of the books here were bestsellers or niche literature and art books. Qin Shing was not interested in them. In the end, he found 2 psychology books that were relatively interesting. Unknowingly, an hour had passed. It could be seen that time flew. I didn't pay attention to the time, Qin Shing said embarrassedly after coming over with 2 books. Lin Su shook her head and looked at Qin Shing. It's okay. Anyway, there is more time today. I found that you are very charming when you read. Really? You finally found my good points. Don't worry, you will find more in the future, Qin Shing said shamelessly. Lin Su sighed helplessly. Such a good atmosphere was broken by you just like that. Qin Shing sat down with a face full of smiles and ordered a glass of juice. Why only 2 books? Lin Su picked up the book Qin Shing chose and was puzzled. After all, he had read for an hour. Qin Shing said casually. There are fewer books here, and they are all bestsellers. I like books with depth. Oh, your taste is not bad. Then you can go to Zhong Shuj or Qingpin. There are more books and more comprehensive books there, Lin Su suggested. Qin Shing nodded and said, I have this idea recently. I plan to go to the bookstore and buy some interesting books to enrich myself. Except for work and fitness, I spend most of my time reading. These days, there are not many young people like you, Lin Su said appreciatively. She roughly looked through the books Qin Shing chose and felt that they were quite interesting. Qin Shing passed the book to Lin Su, meaning that she could pay the bill now. Lin Su took the book and rolled her eyes at Qin Shing. Then, she went to pay the bill. This made all the men present admire her very much. This girlfriend was really well trained. After Lin Su paid the bill, Qin Shing had already picked up the big and small bags and asked, Where to next, my Miss Lin? Let's eat, I'm hungry. Lin Su pursed her lips and smiled. Qin Shing remembered that the Japanese restaurant where he ate with Xia Ding Xinshin last time was here, so the two went there to eat Japanese food. Qin Shing paid for the hot pot at noon, so Lin Su naturally wanted to treat Qin Shing to dinner. Qin Shing did not stand on ceremony. They chatted and laughed. After eating and drinking to their heart's content, Lin Su was finally in a good mood. However, what they did not know was that from the moment they left Poly Square, Yan Chaozong had sent people to keep an eye on them. Yan Chaozong knew their every move. This time, Qin Shing had completely offended Yan Chaozong. After dinner, after coming out of New World, Qin Shing thought it was over. He took a long breath and said, I'll send you home. Why go back too? Lin Su frowned, which meant that today was not over. Qin Shing was stunned, then deliberately played dumb and said, not going home, are we going to stay in a hotel? This is going a little too fast, I can't accept it. Lin Su looked surprised and understood that Qin Shing was deliberately joking with her. She said angrily, What are you thinking in your head? Qin Shing laughed and said, Then what do you want to do? Today I will risk my life to accompany you. Let's find a bar to drink, I want to hear you sing, Lin Su said simply and directly. She said that she wanted to indulge herself, of course she was not just saying it. This sentence seemed a little familiar. Su Qin used to say this when she was in a bad mood, but she did not say the first half. Qin Shing agreed without hesitation, Okay, let's go. With Lin Su, Qin Shing naturally could not go to Young Bar again. Since he knew that the new boss of Young Bar was Su Qin, Qin Shing never went there again. Therefore, the place Lin Su found was in North Xintiandi, where there were many bars. Compared with other places, it was a little quieter. However, obviously the style of the bar here was not the folk bar that Qin Shing liked. They were all European-style bars with a strong Shanghai style. Therefore, Lin Su wanted to listen to Qin Shing sing, but finally gave up. After all, it was too inappropriate to sing folk songs here. Just when Qin Shing and Lin Su were drinking and chatting in Luna Bar in North Xintiandi, Yan Chaozong, who had been busy all day, remembered this matter. So he immediately called his men, who were watching Qin Shing and Lin Su, and asked if Lin Su had gone home. When he learned that Lin Su and Qin Shing had been together all day, eating, shopping, and now drinking in the bar. Chapter 117. Yan Chaozong was really annoyed. He had known Lin Su for so many years and had never received such treatment. At most, he would treat Lin Su to a meal or send her home or attend some formal events. He had never even stepped into Lin Su's house, let alone accompany her to go shopping or clubbing. Most importantly, he basically knew all of Lin Su's friends. As for those suitors, they were all rejected by him. Who was this man? Why did Lin Su like him so much? Didn't he know that Lin Su was about to become my fiancé? Did he not want to stay in Shanghai anymore, or did he want to die? The more he thought about it, the angrier he got. How could he not be worthy of Lin Su? He had always prioritized his career and basically kept himself clean. The more he thought about it, the angrier he got. How could he, Yan Chaozong, not be a good match for Lin Su? He usually prioritized his career and basically kept himself clean. He only had a few girlfriends, and they were not for fun. He was far from those playboys and playboys. In the eyes of his relatives and friends, he was a rare young talent. There were countless people who wanted to marry into the Yan family, but Lin Su didn't cherish it. He really didn't know what was going on in her mind. When he grew up, he also took the initiative to pursue Lin Su. However, Lin Su had always treated him as a friend. Now that he was of marriageable age, his family naturally attached great importance to his marriage. However, unlike other families who did not ask for the children's opinion and directly made the decision, they asked for his opinion. In the end, he chose Lin Su. Both families were old friends. When the old man personally asked, the Lin family also readily agreed. He thought that this matter was already set in stone, but who knew that Lin Su did not agree? This made him very unhappy. Between the Lin and Yan families, the Yan family was stronger than the Lin family. The Lin family was slightly weaker. The Yan family was originally condescending, and everyone in the Lin family was happy. After calming down, Yan Chaozong smiled bitterly and helplessly. Who asked him to like Lin Su? Some things could not be rushed. The easier it was to obtain something, the less one would cherish it. Perhaps all of this was a test for him. Therefore, Yan Chaozong did not make any decision in the end. He wanted to observe the relationship between Lin Su and this man further. If it was really getting more and more dangerous, then he had to step in. If they were just ordinary friends, then he would be at ease. He was very clear that the role he had been playing by Lin Su's side for the past 2 years had made Lin Su somewhat disgusted. As long as there were any pursuers, he would beat them back to their original form and take the initiative to give up. It was impossible for Lin Su to not be angry. Perhaps this was the reason why Lin Su was reluctant to nod her head. In Luna Bar, Qin Sheng and Lin Su chatted for a while. It was already past 9 o'clock. Lin Su felt a little sleepy. Besides, foreigners kept coming over to strike up a conversation, which made Lin Su very uncomfortable. So she got up and planned to leave. At this time, 2 drunk foreigners came over and wanted to have a drink with Lin Su. However, Lin Su was already a little drunk and did not want to drink. Today, she was in a bad mood and indulged, but she had a sense of propriety. She still had busy work waiting for her tomorrow, so Lin Su directly refused. However, the 2 foreigners kept pestering her. They did not intend to let Lin Su go. They even wanted to touch her. Qin Sheng directly stood in front of Lin Su, which was the duty of a flower guardian. These 2 foreigners were tall and strong. They were both taller and stronger than Qin Sheng. They did not take Qin Sheng seriously at all. In today's society, there were many foreigners who could not survive in their mother country, so they came to China to pretend to be powerful. However, many people worshipped foreign things and really took them seriously. Sometimes because of foreign affairs, they did not dare to provoke them. However, they met Qin Sheng today. The foreigner with yellow hair and unshaven beard did not want to talk nonsense with Qin Sheng at all. He directly reached out and was about to push Qin Sheng away, but his arm was grabbed by Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng whispered to Lin Su, "You take the things out first, I will come later." Lin Su did not say much. She picked up the things and was about to leave. At the same time, she signaled Qin Sheng with her eyes to be careful not to cause trouble. Qin Sheng smiled and nodded. Seeing that Lin Su was about to leave, the 2 foreigners got angry in an instant. Moreover, Qin Sheng still grabbed one of their arms. The foreigner next to him cursed and directly waved his fist at Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng just turned around and saw that he was about to be punched. He quickly pulled the other foreigner's arm and blocked in front of him. Then he punched the foreigner's abdomen. The foreigner's skin was rough and thick, so Qin Shing was not willing to use his strength. Seeing that Qin Shing actually dared to hit him, the foreigner kicked at Qin Shing. However, he was drunk and his feet were not steady, so he was almost swayed by Qin Shing. Qin Shing did not like foreigners at all. He cursed, "You are making money in my country, and you dare to bully my people. You are all king spoiled." He directly picked up a wine bottle from the table next to him and smashed it on the foreigner's head. In an instant, he fell to the ground. In for a penny, in for a pound. Qin Shing did not hesitate at all. He quickly dodged the hook of the first foreigner and hit him on the back with his elbow. When the foreigner bent over, he raised his knee and hit the foreigner's face. This man completely lost consciousness and directly lay on the ground, unable to get up again. Due to the sudden conflict, the two foreigners were knocked down by Qin Shing before the people in the bar came back to their senses. Lin Su stood at the door and looked inside, for fear that Qin Shing would be at a disadvantage. Although she had seen Qin Shing fight with the Tibetan people 2 years ago and knew that Qin Shing's skills and strength seemed to be practiced, she was still a little worried. After he was done practicing, Qin Shing did not dare to stay any longer. He ignored the security guards who came over from the bar and hurriedly walked to the door. He held Lin Su's hand and ran outside before Lin Su could come back to her senses. Seeing that Qin Shing was about to run, the security guards of the bar chased after him. They ran all the way out of the north of Xintiandi. Fortunately, Lin Su wore flat shoes today. She usually kept exercising and ran in the morning every day. Otherwise, she would not be able to keep up with Qin Shing's pace. On the roadside of Taiping Park, Lin Su threw the things in her hands on the ground. The two of them panted heavily and looked very embarrassed. Lin Su stared at Qin Shing and suddenly laughed. Qin Shing also laughed. The passers-by all thought that they had met two psychopaths. "What are you laughing at?" Qin Shing finally calmed down and asked in confusion. Lin Su asked, "What are you laughing at?" "I am laughing that you don't look like a goddess now. You are more like a neurotic goddess." "Ha ha ha ha," Qin Shing said happily. Lin Su stared at Qin Shing with her hands on her hips and said, "It's all because of you. Tell me honestly, have you done this kind of thing a lot?" "I used to do it in high school. Later, I rarely did it. Besides, it's not my fault. You are so charming that the two foreigners were fascinated. Besides, they drank too much. If they didn't cut the knot quickly, who knows how long they would be entangled," Qin Shing said angrily. Lin Su laughed and trembled, but she did not refute Qin Shing. Qin Shing picked up the things from the ground and said to Lin Su, "Well, you have been crazy for a day. It's not early. I will send you home." "Okay." Lin Su nodded. On the way back to Lu Jiazhui apartment, Qin Shing sat in front and Lin Su sat in the back. Beside them were her trophies today. They did not say anything and seemed to be thinking about something. After getting off the car, Qin Shing took the initiative to pick up those things. Lin Su only held the bag in her hand. Today was the happiest day for her during this period. She was carefree and did not think about anything. Lin Su walked in front and Qin Shing followed behind. It was very cold at night after the rain. Fortunately, the rain had stopped in the afternoon. Qin Shing followed Lin Su's footsteps at a steady pace. Since he had nothing to do, Qin Shing whistled. It was a song that he liked quite a lot. It was relatively niche and many people might not have heard it before. Lin Su felt that it was quite nice. She whistled and listened to it as she walked. After a few minutes, she arrived downstairs. Lin Su stopped and turned around. "Well, that's it." Qin Shing was very sensible. He did not dare to think that he could enter Lin Su's boudoir. He took the initiative to hand the things to Lin Su, leaving only the 2 books. He smiled and said, "Okay, then you go to bed early." "Okay." Lin Su took the things and smiled. "Thank you, Qin Shing." Qin Shing did not speak. He smiled and waved his hand. He turned around and left without hesitation. After all, this was not a farewell, but a beginning. However, Qin Shing had not walked a few steps when Lin Su shouted, "Qin Shing." Qin Shing turned around subconsciously and asked in confusion, "What's wrong?" "Oh, nothing. I just wanted to ask, what song did you whistle just now?" Lin Su asked, a little embarrassed. Qin Shing smiled faintly. 12. 12. Lin Su muttered to herself as she stared at Qin Shing's back. It was almost 11 o'clock when Qin Shing returned to Shilin Huayuan. Chang Baji and Hao Lei were both back. Hao Lei asked curiously, "What have you been doing all day? You didn't answer my phone, and I didn't see you at the gym." Qin Shing said happily, "Guess." While Hao Lei was scolding him, Qin Shing went back to his room to take a bath. In the apartment of Lu Jiazui, Lin Su had just taken a shower and was sitting in front of the computer in pajamas, ready to check several work emails. Yan Chaozong sent several WeChat messages, but Lin Su ignored them. Originally, she was about to collect the mail when she suddenly thought of the song that Qin Shing had just mentioned. She opened NetEase Cloud Music and searched for the song 12. She was fascinated by it. You are hot waves on a September summer day. You are the yearning of sudden heavy rain. You are the dream of flying over the mountains and rivers. Are you, by the snowy roadside all night. You are the young scenery of the southern hemisphere. You are speechless. You are looking at each other. You are the wings through the French window. You are the fragrance of the sunshine in the small town. You are the magnetic field that can't resist. You are the direction of the sunset in the evening. You are the fleeting ideal that I can't embrace. You are the journey. You are the hometown. You are the unforgettable love that I don't want to stop. You are the way to escape the ruins is vast. You are the unregrettable time that flashes between bright and dark. You are the full bloom of a beam of life. You are every stroke of serious writing. You are the wrong growth of a few strands of hair. You are the antidote. You are nutrition. You are the wandering home, the heartbroken. You are the regret and longing that I enjoy alone. You are the dream that I don't want to wake up from. My name is unforgettable. Chapter 118. Adding insult to injury, begging for monthly votes, begging for collection, begging for everyone's support. If you have any suggestions, please leave them in the circle and the book review section. Lin Su listened to the song and smiled faintly. Her smile was so beautiful that it could cause the downfall of cities and countries. After receiving those work emails, Lin Su went straight to bed. Everything was so perfect today. She more or less knew that the reason why Qin Shing whistled and sang 12 just now was naturally to satisfy her little wish of listening to him sing today. This man would always touch her with small details. Just like how he stood in front of her without batting an eyelid just now at the bar. Just like how he used to travel with her in the past. No matter what happened, he would not let her worry. He would think of a way to solve it. Why did Lin Su and Qin Shing progress so fast? Naturally, it was because of those past stories. Although it was only less than 2 months, Qin Shing had left an indelible mark in her life. He was also a man who rarely interested her. Unfortunately, he came and left in a hurry. If it were not for Qin Shing's sudden appearance, Lin Su felt that she might have agreed to the marriage. After all, there was no man she liked so far. As her grandmother said, at this age, it was time to get married. Anyway, it was already like this. No matter who she married, it would be a lifetime. But now, she did not intend to do that. She wanted to be crazy once. A year's plan is in spring, and a day's plan is in the morning. If a man could maintain a regular work and rest for decades, then this man was really not simple. Naturally, he had to do some special work. Qin Shing got up and ran back, bought breakfast for Hao Lei and Chang Baji, and finally went out together. During this time, Qin Shing did not go to work. Chang Baji would go out with Hao Lei every day, and then go directly to Changshan Ruoshui to replace the deputy manager Yuan Hua or Sun Chao who was on duty last night. Now Chang Baji could be said to be a man of great authority in the security department. At first, Yuan Hua and Sun Chao were still a little unconvinced, but Chang Baji's way of doing things really made them speechless. Now he was loyal. What about Qin Sheng? Yesterday, he had planned to find Jiang Xianbang. In the end, because he had accompanied Lin Su for a crazy day, this matter had to be put aside. So after he went out, he went straight to Middle Huaihai Road. But when he arrived, he found out that Jiang Xianbang was not here. These 2 days, he lived at Zujiajio Dadayan Lake. Qin Sheng had no choice but to call Jiang Xianbang. Finally, he went straight to Dadayan Lake. An hour later, on the lakeside road of Dadayan Lake in Zujiajio, Jiang Xianbang was walking by the lake with the help of a young and beautiful woman. His confidant and driver followed behind, keeping a distance that was neither too far nor too close. Qin Sheng and he did not have much interaction. Every time they met, they just nodded. After seeing Qin Sheng, Jiang Xianbang patted the buttocks of the beautiful woman beside him and nodded to the young man behind him, indicating that he should take her back first. Then, he waved at Qin Sheng. The beautiful woman acted coquettishly with Jiang Xianbang for a while, and then reluctantly left. Qin Sheng walked over slowly and joked, "You are so leisurely, running here to enjoy the happiness of leisure. After so many years of tossing and turning, it's time to have a good rest. Otherwise, I will be tired to death in this life." Jiang Xianbang laughed and still had the attitude of an empress dowager who did not care about anything. Jiang Xianbang continued to walk along the lake, and Qin Sheng followed closely. Jiang Xianbang sighed and said, "I thought you would come here as soon as you returned to Shanghai, but I didn't expect you to come today. You will enjoy the happiness, but you can't let me rest for 2 days. It doesn't make sense." Qin Sheng snorted coldly. Jiang Xianbang sighed and said, "Do you have something to say? Ask what you want to ask." Qin Sheng did not refuse. He went straight to the point and said, "Uncle Jiang, is there something wrong?" Jiang Xianbang smiled lightly. There were not many people by the lake in the early morning, and it was relatively quiet here. It was only lively on weekdays. He said casually, "After going through so many storms, what is called a thing? As long as you are alive, everything will pass." What he said was equivalent to giving Qin Sheng an answer, although the answer was a bit ambiguous. Qin Sheng frowned and asked, "Who wants to deal with you?" "To deal with me, it is not as complicated as you think. It is too early to conclude some things. When the gods fight, we ordinary people are easy to suffer. Besides, it is not easy for a person like me to live until now with original sin." Jiang Xianbang still did not intend to tell Qin Sheng too much. Qin Sheng still wanted to say something, but Jiang Xianbang stopped him and said directly, "I may be a little busy recently. When you have nothing to do, help me accompany Qing or more. Don't let this girl worry too much. I plan to give all the antiques and cultural relics to several major museums first. Next month, I will promote you to be the general manager of Changshan Ruoshui. Su Lancheng will help me deal with the trivial things in the company. I still trust him more or less." Qin Sheng had only been here for less than 3 months, and he was going to be the general manager of Changshan Ruoshui. Hearing this sentence, Qin Sheng was somewhat shocked. It could be seen that Jiang Xianbang was also quite difficult, otherwise he would not do this. "How much you can absorb depends on your own ability," Jiang Xianbang said casually. Jiang Xianbang was already like this, but he still wanted to continue to pave the way for Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng felt that except for the relationship with his grandfather, he really did not do anything for Jiang Xianbang, let alone let him help him everywhere. So he gritted his teeth and said, "What can I do for you? What can you do for me? I have lived for most of my life, I can accept any result. Besides, it is not that difficult." You don't have to worry that I will become Hongguoping. I plan to live to 100 years old. Even if the king of hell comes, I will not leave. Jiang Xianbang laughed and said, But you are still young, your life has just begun. Well, if you really want to help me do something, during the time I go to Hong Kong, help me deal with some things, I will tell them. Okay. Qin Shing nodded without hesitation. Jiang Xianbang patted Qin Shing's shoulder and said, I have not met any big shots in my life. Those high officials and nobles in front of me are also pitiful people like me. Speaking of big shots, your grandfather is one. He predicted that there would be a disaster in my life, but he did not say whether or not I could get through it safely. This may be the reason why he did not let me see him later. So when you were in university, I helped you everywhere just to see the old man again, but in the end it became a pity. Why do I not feel that he is so powerful? Qin Shing said disapprovingly. In his eyes, his grandfather was just an ordinary old man, listening to plays, drinking, meeting friends, walking, and most of the time, he was sleeping. Jiang Xianbang laughed and said, You do not know how lucky you are. I really don't know if your father is still alive, or if he is also a big shot. I have not seen him, I guess he is long dead. Qin Shing shook his head and said, he had not thought about this for a long time. Jiang Xianbang did not comment on this. Everything had a cause and effect. He shook his head and smiled bitterly. Let's go back and have some tea. It is quite cold outside, my woman makes good tea. They were about to go back along the lake. At this time, there was a cynical young man standing not far away, wearing a sports suit and a cap, staring at them with a smile. Yo, just a little bit of spring grass is moving, and someone is starting to hit me when I am down. He really doesn't take me seriously. Jiang Xianbang said calmly. The cynical young man laughed and said, You are Mr. Jiang. Whose people? Jiang Xianbang asked casually. The young man laughed and said, Don't worry about it. I just take the money to send you on your way. You have lived for a long time, and it is about time. But your mistress is very beautiful. I plan to develop her for you later. Mr. Jiang, you don't mind, do you? Young man, you are so arrogant. Jiang Xianbang was not angry at all and said happily. Qin Shing could not stand it anymore. Everyone dared to show off in front of Jiang Xianbang. They really had no respect at all. He smiled at Jiang Xianbang and said, Uncle, you go back first, I will deal with this. Can you do it? Jiang Xianbang was not surprised that Qin Shing could stand up and asked with a smile. Qin Shing laughed and said, Have you forgotten whose grandson I am? Well, it is okay to shed some blood, but don't kill people, it is more troublesome. Jiang Xianbang nodded slightly and then turned to leave. Qin Shing slowly took a few steps forward and said, You eat garlic when you go out, right? You are so arrogant. LV Jingyi can stop me, but you probably can't. If you want to live, go away. The young man's tone was still very arrogant, and he did not take Qin Shing seriously at all. Who was LV Jingyi? Oh, Qin Shing remembered. It should be Jiang Xianbang's driver and bodyguard. It seemed that he was also not a simple character. No wonder this man chose this time to make a move. It turned out that LV Jingyi happened to be not there, and he felt that the opportunity had come. Can you not be long-winded? If you continue to be long-winded, old Jiang will go far. I guess you will meet LV Jingyi in a while. I hate people like you the most. Before you make a move, you talk endlessly. In the end, there is only one end, you die without a burial place. Qin Shing provoked indifferently. The young man threw away his cap and took off his down jacket, directly revealing the black tight short-sleeved shirt inside. The muscles on his body were really incomparably strong, comparable to Qin Shing's. Probably in the gym, he was also a young woman's friend. He angrily said to Qin Shing, You are courting death. After that, he rushed to Qin Shing like a tiger going down the mountain. This momentum was by no means an ordinary character. Qin Shing stared at him and also took off his coat. It was a gray sweater inside, but it did not affect his performance at all. The injury he suffered in Nanjing last time had been recovered. If it was a while ago, he might not be able to go all out. The scenery by the lakeside of Dadayan Lake was infinitely good. It was either surrounded by villa areas or high-end hotels, such as the Anman Zujiajio under the Amonman Hotel Group. However, they had to fight and kill here, which was really a spoiler. Qin Xing slightly exerted force on the soles of his feet. He did not advance but retreated, rushing toward the young man. The duel between the two young men began. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.